Get ready. It's time for Monsters and Memories.
Welcome, everybody, to Just Let Me Have This. This is a podcast today about the Monsters and Memories class changes and subsequent patch notes. The year is 2026, unlike the year 1996, which is our featured last video. I invite you all to check out our 1996 video game draft. It was a blast that no one has watched.
True.
If a blast happens and no
true.
one's around to see it, was it a blast?
It was a blast, and we're going to keep doing these drafts because they're fun, and they're just a ton of fun. Anyway, let's get to business. We wanted to get together on this Thursday because we couldn't all get together on Friday because it's been 2 weeks-ish since the dev team released their vision for classes going into early access. So as a reminder, Monsters and Memories is a classic style MMORPG, much in the fashion of EverQuest. It is due to release in early access in October of 2026. We are all jazzed and hyped for it, but I'm remiss because I haven't introduced my co-hosts. I'm joined today by Moose's Wild and PK. Moose, how are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking. It's been a minute. It's good to be here. Good to see everybody. Some familiar faces.
Okay. All right. PK, how are you?
I'm tired. I work too much, man.
Okay.
We stayed up too late last night doing our band practice stuff. Got up too early this morning. I ended up staying for extra today, so I worked a 10-hour day. I'm done. But
Yeah.
I'm ready, and I'm pumped for this game and the changes. I like a lot of them. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to go.
I'm glad to have you both here. We almost didn't have PK. That's why we're recording on a Thursday.
Who you're more glad to have here?
I was going to choose you, to be honest with you, because it was going to be Friday, and it wasn't out of deference to you. It was out of deference to the day, because we were typically record and go live on Fridays. But why not? What porque los dos or whatever.
Yeah,
He speaks Spanish, ladies.
Porky the dose.
Porky lo dos nos. I apologize for offending everybody. But yeah, we got you both. We're kind of the OG crew. Vitox is in chat. I know Jeppy is taking a nap because he's got a lot of kids.
Gotta get that guy some sleep. Someone donate him some sleep.
Let's get this guy some sleep. So without further ado, the dev team released a bunch of vision statements. They went on a vision quest.
They're cooking.
All 18 of their classes. And then we can talk about the patch notes after that. I mean, frankly, guys, let's talk about this because there's 18 classes. There's sort of a lot to talk about. I don't want to cut any of these combos short. So let's go through the first few. If we're feeling like we need a part 2 of this video for next week, let's raise the flag and do it because I don't want to have a short little video. We're not known for being brief.
In fact, we're hated for how long we go.
We're hated for going too long, too short.
But why would we disappoint the people that we already disappoint, you know?
Yeah. Let's just keep disappointing folks. That's what I always say. Oh, my kid rode a bike for the first time today, which is big news for me.
That's sick.
Yeah, it reflects on me.
Yeah, of course. That is your triumph.
It's my victory. Son, I know you're feeling good, but this is about me.
Post it on your Facebook.
Yeah.
And
this kid was nothing without me.
On LinkedIn.
This kid is nothing without me.
Out of the year.
All right, we've got classes. We're going to go A through W. There is no Z class. What class would be a Z class? What class would start with Zealot?
Zealot is a good choice. I can't go better, I don't think. Zebramancer?
Xenoid, an alien class.
Oh.
Let's start with Archer.
Made up words. Archer me.
Why don't you Archer me?
You want me to Archer you?
I want you to Arch me.
Okay. So I think Archer is the big thing for them is I think they were languishing between the ranger identity and the archer identity. We've always said that rangers and archers should be closer together, and it sounds like should be more or less merged into one class, as if Jesse had his way.
Yes.
But it sounds like they're struggling with identity for what the archer is supposed to be. It sounds like what they have here as far as defining traits go, and I'm not going to read their entire identity.
No,
Y'all can
don't
read
do
the identity, but defining traits is they're sticking physical DPS with no magic. They're able to fire while moving, but it sounds like they're going to have reduced speed when they do so. And then they're going to be like they're going to be Hawkeye, it sounds like. They're going to be very trap heavy, very gadget heavy, very arrowhead. They have different specialty arrows, which right now it sounds like the Ranger currently has. Not sounds like, I play a Ranger. The Ranger has different arrows and stuff, but it sounds like the Archer is going to be prying that identity away from Ranger. And going to be getting the arrowheads, which includes, it says, like explosive tips, entangling nets, concealing smoke. So they're going to be very. I will say, I play a class like this in Enshrouded, and it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite play styles. It sounds really cool. I don't know how it's going to work in a tab targeting game. It works great in an adventure game. But yeah, they're going to be very gadget heavy, and they're going to be able to reposition, but they're going to be strict range DPS, not a lot of utility flair there, it sounds like. So and that's pretty much the big thing.
Yeah, it seems the overarching idea behind these class changes was they identified that multiple classes were like stealing elements from other classes, which really kind of hurt the class identity as a whole. And they wanted to make everything a bit more unique and stand out more. So that, like we were saying before, you could combine Archer and Ranger and just make it one class. But if you're going to have both, then you should probably do some stuff to separate them. And I think this is a great start.
I fully agree, guys. So I think what we should do is sort of go through the what's changing briefly, but I think they do a pretty good job of summarizing these things. Like I think, like, to back up a little bit, these class write-ups are very well done, in my opinion. They're hyper clear. So what's more, physical skills and technique as the primary source of power. I interpret that as like buttons they press that will equal their damage, as opposed to the standard sort of white auto attack damage, which is what they're what they're heavy on right now. Second bullet is loadout driven gameplay using specialized arrows and traps. So we've talked about this before, but this is like the Valheim effect. Prepare for the battle that you are going to engage with. If you're going to fight fire monsters, I guess there might be like ice arrows, that sort of thing. An emphasis on planning, positioning, and resource management.
I know I make it the parallel here for archers maybe not 1-to-1, and I know another class we'll get to maybe has the synopsis a little more directly, but they do sound a witchery insofar as in Witcher 3 specifically is a very big prep game. Like if you think you're fighting a werewolf, you're going to figure out your silver stuff, your strength serums, and you're going to make sure that you prep appropriately for the thing. And it sounds like Archer is going to have that kind of play style to it from where they're going. And I think and to your point, Jesse, I mean, maybe we should just restart this a little bit, but to caveat the kind of overarching notes for what the class design means and kind of where it came from. After
You said restart.
After Nick's departure, they basically the devs came out with obviously a big old thing about class goals, but I think the key things that they have said around all of the class design choices, and I think the things that really stood out to me as a player, are their goals being that they are going to have every class bring a clear value to groups, have a distinct identity, feel familiar to their genre conventions, and stay true to what you expect from the class, and have the breadcrumbs and the carrots that we talked about over a long period of time where we're like, oh, monk doesn't get anything after like 20-ish, etc. They're going to every class is going to get something 1 to 60, which I think is really cool.
It's a tall order for 18 classes, to be honest with you.
It is. And Archer, the reason I brought it up is because Archer is one of those classes that I think petered out super fast. I think they were done at 12 or something. and they've been getting things along the way, but it sounds like for me when I played, like I dabbled in Archer, I didn't love it when I played it, but I think a big piece of that is they just didn't have the carrots I would need to stay interested in a class for too long. So it sounds like they'll be getting that. Every class will be getting that.
I guess also a sort of an umbrella statement to go over this. The way I interpret these things, it's like if there is it's like a spectrum where EverQuest is on one side and WoW, like classic WoW, is on the other side. And it was on like 9 before for EverQuest. I see this sort of moving toward like the 6.5 range, more towards WoW, where you have active buttons to hit as opposed to relying on passive or automatic damage. I mean, any melee player from EverQuest knows that you hit either Q or A and you're doing the majority. You're doing 95% of your DPS. It's just all passive sort of white damage. Versus WoW, like a WoW rogue, it's not that. Like you're hitting quite a few buttons. I'm sure it's probably half and half. I don't know. PK could speak to that a lot better than I could. But this is like moving toward the WoW model, I think. Not becoming WoW, but like moving in that direction.
I mean, the changes that we got that they've already put in, and they said they're going to be breadcrumbing things, starting with systemic changes they wanted to see, and we got the first big chunk of that systemic change that they're trying to get, where we have faster regen that scales off stamina, we have faster mana regen that scales off int or wisdom, depending on which is higher. Big quality of life things. Trying for archers, it pulls from your quiver instead of like having to manually fucking tool did I just get us demonetized? That was fast. Instead of manually having to tool with a ammo slot thing, it will automatically try and detect things from your quiver, which is, I think, big changes. So a lot of the quality of life stuff is going in. That's going to change how every class plays. And I think that's a big thing for me, because classes that felt unviable before, Archer being one of these, Fighter being another, that stamina regen thing now makes like tanks feel a little bit less spooky if you're trying to duo or solo, and maybe you don't have a perfect setup, perfect healer with you or something. That faster regen just is going to help downtime immensely.
Let's wrap every class sort of summary that we're going to go through with a quick, like, does this change your calculus on the class? Does Archer appeal to you guys more with these like thematic changes? PK?
For me, I have not tried it, but it was always something that I wanted to mess with, mostly because I heard people talking about how OP it was, and that always makes me hard. So I thought I would give it a shot, but I thought I would give it a shot. But now it's hearing stuff like, you got your entire toolkit at 12 and then there's nothing to play for, I would find that very, very boring.
Yeah.
So hearing that they're moving this off into a different direction where you're going to start getting more little breadcrumb stuff along the way to make it more exciting along the way. And also, having completely different loadouts, depending on what you're doing. I think that the planning is very cool. It adds another element of gameplay that other classes probably won't have, and I'm sure that some people will find that annoying. I think it's very cool. So all the changes for me personally would boost my my chances of trying to play it.
Ooh, Pat could go Archer. That'd be fun. I think the thing in the grand scheme of what this all means for our debauchery of figuring out what the hell we're going to play, it's a disaster for us. All this does is put us back to the drawing. It puts the devs back to the drawing board, but more importantly, it puts us back to the drawing board. And we were really closing in.
We had it.
We were closing in so hard on what we were going to play. But it sounds like everything's going to be, in some cases, vastly different. And Archer is, I think, not even nearly the biggest changes that we'll get to.
Yeah. From my point of view, I'm happy this style of play is in the game and it's being emphasized, but it makes it clear that I don't want to play this class. Like, I don't want to do the preparation. I just like have this inherent fear of like running out of arrows.
Yeah.
And I know it's not.
It feels bad.
I just don't want to be in a situation where I'm out of arrows.
You're in total control of that.
I know, but like sometimes you're not, right?
Running out as well. I mean, at least in this game, you have the ability to craft them on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas like in a game like WoW, you needed to return back to a town to go buy arrows. So like if you're in the middle of a dungeon, you're SOL. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
I think Archer too is best suited for a person who has more time than their friends do, because you could just spend that time lumberjacking and then making some art. You jacking it, and then jacking it and fleshing it. You know,
What are you doing, babe? I'm lumberjacking.
I'm jacking here.
I'm jacking over here.
Jacking over here. All right. The boys.
All right, let's move
ain't
to
on.
Bard. Let me do a. Oh man,
We're not gonna keep it.
I'm out of practice, guys.
Thursday's production is
All right, that's our
C-team.
transition noise. That's our transition noise. Let's move to Bard. What's changing? Bard already has a clear and distinct role, so the update is more about filling gaps. So, it sounds as if they are actually moving more damage over to the old bards, which is kind of surprising view for me. I don't super duper love this. But I'll read the sort of more section. So they're getting more depth and range in song selection. Good. Including, and they're emphasizing this more and more time, but a larger and more meaningful damage offering. When I hear Bard, I don't think damage.
It's not listed as a damage class. It's listed as support and utility. So getting bonus damage seems weird.
Yeah, that's true. That's big truth. I think and there's also instrument as a normal part of play, including more songs that require a specific instrument type. I guess meaning you can't sing a song at like lesser efficacy than you could today. So the system as it is today, if you sing the song, it would be at, let's say, a baseline of 100%. But if you like play the appropriate instrument for the song, it'll give you an instrument specific bonus, maybe 15%, maybe 25%, sort of unknown. But it sounds as if there will be songs you cannot play without the instrument.
Yes, that sounds like it feels bad.
I mean,
yeah,
you're always in like you can get those instruments very low. You can get like starter instruments.
Yeah, it's not that. It's bag space, which is already a very limited resource.
Bag space is also moving that instrument into the button.
Yeah,
like it has
I
to be
think
wielding it.
The Bard forums are alight with feedback about how instrument swapping is a real pain in the ass, and I don't disagree. It's a tax.
Yeah, I think the changes for Archer make sense, and and overall I like them. The changes for Bard I hate personally. I don't think they go along with the class fantasy. They're taking away
score.
Yeah, they're taking away like their biggest like niche was charm, and they're like, yeah, we don't want you to do that. We're gonna give you damage songs. So it's like,
they're de-emphasizing charm just like in general, probably for the betterment of the game in general.
I can't see that though. There's so many groups that are so big that without charm you can't fight them. So to make that less impactful feels like a strange move.
Well, this is all. I mean, one of the things that they're talking about is they're changing a number of the underlying systems. So time to kill, mana regeneration, all these sort of things are also being changed in the background to support these playstyles. So it's not as if they're changing the players and leaving the world as it is. So that's where I take some comfort.
I think that with Bard, this is one of those devs need to be careful on how they on overextending, right?
You want to say that more threateningly. Say that more threateningly.
Devs need to be careful, okay? The Bard changes are one of the ones where I was like, it was like Archer changes. They're going to get more identity. Rangers getting a revamp on their identity. I was like, yeah, leaning in. And they were like, Bard is getting damage spells. Like, oh, okay,
they're
you're
like,
losing
Bards,
me.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Like, we you asked, we heard you. Bards are getting damage spells. And we're like, okay. I don't think the Bard community sounded I don't play Bards, so I'll be outright. And this does not make me want to play Bard anymore. But I will say that I think as far as iconic classes go, you should be careful when messing with the secret sauce. And I think Bard is one of those iconic classes where there is very specific expectations around a Bard. I would say Enchanter is probably the like 1A to that. That if they mess with that, it could be to the detriment of the game. So we'll see how it goes, though. I trust.
Yeah, their entire toolkit is like outside of the charm it's like short duration songs that they are cycling through constantly to try and keep as close to 100% uptime on their buffs and debuffs as possible. And now you're throwing in, you need to swap instruments every time you do this. And they're already on a short duration as it is. Like, this is now like musical instrument swap simulator 2000.
Yeah.
And I think the key for a class like Bard is that when you're in a group, you're going to be filling gaps. And I think the more you give, the more homogeny you provide for a thing, the less predictable it becomes to how someone is going to fill a gap for your group. And so someone might join as a damage bard now, and you're like, yo, we need some support stuff. And they're going to be like, but you're speaking to a damage bard.
You would 100% be a damage bard.
That's a good character name, damage
Bro,
bard.
don't knock it until you try it, bro. You have no idea how much damage I can do.
The devs wouldn't give me the option if it wasn't good enough, okay? It may not be meta, but it will be good enough. But no, seriously, I think that will be a thing that could create
Narrator,
friction.
it wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough. Everyone died because the bard wasn't helping charm at CC.
I want to build on that though and say, like, the skill ceiling will be higher. Like, you will have greater, like, you will know bards who are rocking and rolling with instrument changing and like absolutely either just like maximizing their classes with all the switches. Like, they'll figure it out. Sounds like a nightmare. I would never want to do that.
Yeah, no, this sounds miserable.
One of the things I do want to highlight is social and non-combat songs. And Sean even said, and we ought not hold him to this, but he said in one of the Discord conversations about, like, we're looking at the sort of Star Wars Galaxy dancer buffs. That, so if you remember Star Wars Galaxy, I didn't play Star Wars Galaxies. I know it's sort of famous though that they had one class as a dancer, and they would go into like the nightclubs and they would just dance there. And other than like the role playing aspect of it, I believe there were buffs being given. Now, if I like extrapolate that to the worst degenerative style play style, that means you're going to have people being like, make sure you go to the bar and get your bard buff before we go raid. Like, that's what Pat would do. He would have like 3 characters.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we live in a time where like that's expected. Like, it's expected. It's considered like bad behavior to not show up completely min-maxed to shit.
Yeah. And yep, that's one of those things where it can create, this could be one of those defining things where it can create excellent flavor, or it can create a weird social tax where you're expected to do this thing and they're like, dance puppet.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
But like, for example, I kind of trust that the devs kind of know what they're doing here, especially with Ranger, because Ranger has like the hearth thing is a really good example of that, where like they just have a better fire for folks. But I've never yelled at a Ranger in my party like, "Where's my better fire?" You know.
Well, you ask a Ranger like, "Why did you roll that class? Like, what are you doing? Like, what happened to you? Why did your parents don't like you?" Yeah,
yes.
I would expect a Ranger to show up with the proper equipment to give me the buff that they're supposed to bring the party, and like not showing up with that. Like I said, I'd be like, why is this guy here?
Rangers also have to pay groups to take them. Like, that's a standard. Sort of thing.
Well, maybe not. We'll get to
that. So Bard, I do want to, like, we've been slightly down on Bard, and I think Bard stocks are down at the moment. But
do you?
I do. Like,
yeah.
I think
diamond hands on Bard.
I think they'll be useful. Like, they'll forever be good, but I think people aren't as jazzed to play them. There's a risk it becomes like a buff
Discord is up in arms, then they are not happy.
Yeah,
the Discord's up in arms. I didn't detect that.
No, we'll talk about the Discord being up in arms soon.
Okay.
Okay.
I do see the do bards want more damage thread. Just straight up. Just asking the question. Look at the elephant in the room right in the eye.
Let's talk Beastmaster.
Do it.
Beastmaster is being honed in, and this is sort of a bigger aspect that we also didn't talk about. So hybrids are no longer going to be hybrids. They're no longer going to be a split between this class and that class.
I love it.
They're going to be their own thing. It's hard to like articulate what that actually means in practice, but what it doesn't mean is that, for instance, a paladin won't be a decent fighter and a terrible cleric combined in one class. They'll be a paladin. They won't be an ugly human. They'll be a very good looking ape, sort of a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Beastmaster is the sort of first
Beastmaster.
thing. It used to be a hybrid between Shaman, and Monk, right? That was it.
Kind
And
of.
now they're being turned into their own thing, where they are going to be like a two-handed focus class, which I sort of love. They're one of the few classes out there that's like going to be focusing on two-handed. And I was looking in the Beastmaster Discords, and I saw Zillith chatting about this, I think yesterday. He's like, yeah, they will have sort of hand weapons, but they will really sort of emphasize two-handed, like great weapons, which is like really cool. Sort of has that sort of Beast Lord feel.
Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian.
Got that Conan feel.
Slamming things with a wolf, with a dire wolf, you know?
Yeah, with like a wolf pack.
Or a rat.
Or any sort of thing. Like they're not going to have these like swarms like they had before. So yeah, that's pretty neato to me. They're leaving behind its roots as a shaman hybrid. So more here: two-hand weapons and double-fisted claws, animal fiend's abilities, primal stances that buff the Beastmaster, their companion, and party.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
Love it.
less of that shared abilities with Shaman. So I would expect they're losing slow.
Possible.
I would expect they're losing heals. Traditional hybrid roll.
Yeah.
I
And
think
swarm mechanics.
I think what they're going to gain though is their pet is going to essentially be a damage shield for them, and they can heal their pet. So I think they will still get a form of, if you view them as an HP pool, they'll still be able to make their HP pool go up. And I think as long as the pet maintains a provoke, I think they'll still be kind of a tankier, solo friendly, make bar go up thing.
Yeah, this
Which I
was
like.
this was a class that prior to these announced changes, I had zero interest in playing at all. And post changes
Part Shaman.
sounds no, just the I don't know. I was never really a fan of like pet type classes in the first place, and just the over reliance on it, and like that's kind of what it seemed like it was like an over reliance on your pets to do most of your work while you kind of like, you know, off healed and did stuff in the background. And this seems like a big swap where it's like you're now the main damage dealer, and you just happen to have also a buddy who's there to kick some ass with you, and that sounds way cooler to me.
It does.
I love the primal stance. So, I mean, the original Beastmaster pitch that they had was that someone who falls in love with the beast community so much that they could even eventually shapeshift potentially.
Say more.
into
Say
them.
more about that.
Yeah. For all you furry friends, I think this is kind of a mixture of the two, where they still have like that huge beast affinity identity where, like I think even more so than druids, even more so, especially more so than shamans, beasts no beasts, beastmasters no beasts, and no one else is going to outbeast the beastmaster. And I think like that, like making their pets basically an extension of them, and a 0.75 to their 1 is, I think, a really cool setup for them. And I'd love to see, I'm very interested to see what their buffs look like, because the buff the way that their buffs work could be very, very, very cool with the stances and like buffing their pet and their party and stuff. I think it'd be very, very cool. There's a lot of blue ocean here for them.
I think like Pat, my view on Beastmaster's gone up. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, like I never considered them before.
Yeah, not
I
even a
saw
little
this
bit.
and I was like, oh, I can be Conan with a tiger. Like
100%.
yeah, get me in, coach. Sounds like PK is there as well.
Yeah, man. Get
Chris,
like a
you were
halberd or something.
I was default.
Mm-hmm.
This is my first main. This is what I had first picked.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I am less likely to pick it because I did love the support capabilities of it, but we'll see what the buffs do for that. But I like, for me personally, I'm like, sacrifice being a crappier shaman, because that actually manifesting in the world when you're in a group is so
You're never
slim.
using those spells.
I would never use those spells if a shaman exists, or any healer is in a group, really. They're nice to have, but they're so situational in practice that I was like, oh, I'm not the support I thought I'd be. So I think that's the key. And like we said, I think we've already identified that speed of the wild is just so prevalent in this game that I don't think it'll be a huge loss if they do end up losing that from their kit, which I think was the big thing to keep.
Well,
or they love.
according to their stuff, it's bestial themed stances, and it says damage and defense for combat, and then utility is speed, stealth, and resistance. So those will all be auras that they can kind of give off, which is pretty badass.
It
Anything
says a
that says-
mode though. I don't know what that means.
Well, it's like stances.
Yeah.
I just anything that says utility mode, I'm down for. Like, if you have imagine this, like you have like a jaguar pet, and you have like an invis, like a party wide invis. So it's similar to Bard, or like self only, or like a party wide sneak. Maybe invis is too strong, like a
That's
party
what
wide
Bard had,
sneak.
yeah.
So like you can sneak behind mobs, so
Yeah,
you can
it's
sort of get like
badass.
that's
So
fucking cool. That's unique.
Sky's the limit. Stonks up on Beastmaster
Stonks are up
on this channel anyway.
on this channel anyway.
What's
Okay.
the forums like on Beastmaster? How's the community
Positive,
feeling? about it?
positive.
Yeah, positive. They liking it.
I think overall positive. Yeah, people had some questions around.
There's a lot of furry
weapon
pictures, but
styles?
once you get past those, it's very positive.
There's a
And
great
Scalies, how dare you?
There's a great subplot on The Pit, my favorite medical show, where like a furry is wearing their costume in like the middle of July, and they're like, "I don't know why I'm have heat stroke." Good times. Okay, let me do a transition to cleric. Cleric. So they will retain, and this is interesting, premier healing class. I think they had that before, but I don't think it was ever so clearly said. Uses prayer-based healing, wears heavy armor and shield, capable of off-tanking. Now, that phrase has been a source of a lot of consternation in the cleric Discord, meaning like, what does this mean? Am I going to have a taunt? And will I be unoptimal if I'm not off-tanking? And I think Sean and the other devs, Zillith, have clarified this to say like, no, you won't have a taunt. It just means that the systems will be tuned and your AC will be hard enough that if a mob does start beating on your face, you will have
Just
some
keep it.
benefits to spell casting, and you can continue casting, and it won't be that big a deal. Unlike a druid, who'd be like, help, you know,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Oh, dude, I love this, man. As a healer, I think this is sick. And also, like, healing is such a natural aggro generator that you're probably going to get some aggro. And now this is just you don't have to freak out and have your tank taunt back. If you have a cleric in your party and you're a tank, you'd be like, oh, that guy can take it for a bit. And I could just, like, we can mow this one that I'm on down, which I think is like, geez, you're a plate wearing healer. Like, that's exactly, I think, the type of change that you're looking for in that case.
Yeah.
The system they're changing to support this that goes across the board is the channeling skill, meaning that it was very easy to interrupt a caster. Like, even if you were hit for 1 damage, it would be the equivalent of being hit for 1,000 damage in terms of the likelihood to interrupt your spell casting. And they're making changes to that. So between that, your high AC, meaning you're unlikely to get hit, less likely to get hit than a shaman or a druid. I'm kind of getting nervous for some reason. I gotta loosen up a little bit.
You all right, buddy?
That they're in a better place. So, and there's not much less here. There's not a ton of changes except that, but there's less spells and identity shared with the paladin. So I don't know how to interpret that, but how you guys feel about cleric? Chris?
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, you're eating nuts right now, so I'll ask Moose to.
I'll
No,
fill
I
the-
think it's
I'll fill the nut gap.
the heavy armor being a bigger deal is awesome.
Not
It
necessarily.
doesn't seem like they're getting a whole lot of changes, but being able to, if you accidentally pull aggro, not being like we're all dead is nice. It's a very nice quality of life change.
What I read with this what's changing is that like melee cleric is dead. Like there's not going to be sort of there was the supplication
Aw.
line,
Yeah.
meaning cast the thing and you'll get increased mana regeneration while standing. And I think they view that as like blurring the line with the paladin. So
Makes sense, yeah.
I think that, other than Moose, there will be no damage clerics like a melee damage clerics out there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear when they say clerics channel divine power through word and prayer. Paladins do so through martial devotion, and spells that blurred that line are going away, which I think is pretty clear that they're saying clerics are not going to be the martial class you want them to be. But I think like them being able to take aggro and being able to be identified as frontline healers, I think is still a step in the right direction with a plate wearing with what I envision a plate wearing healer should be, right? They don't have to necessarily be a tank or be a. I would love if they added some melee flavor to it, but we'll see what they do. I think overall not a ton of changes to Cleric, but I like the things that they have talked about.
Did you play Warrior Priest and Warhammer?
I did.
Squig herder.
That was Warrior Priest is like what you want. It was melee
It was fun.
based.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
there
it's
was
kinda like
also
what Holy Paladin's
there was not a
gone to, right?
there was not a
Yeah.
paladin class though. So
Not like Holy Paladin. Well, I mean, what it is now,
Yeah,
but
now in
even
retail.
more so, in that your hits directly equaled splash damage around you, slash heals
Oh, cool.
around you. It
That's
was
fun.
kind of what you want to be.
yeah, I mean
That's fun.
that makes sense. But that game also didn't have a paladin,
Truth.
so you can't like to have both seems silly.
Was Warrior Priest a cleric or a paladin? You decide.
Yeah,
There's a poll in the comments. Oh, once we finish this, we should go to the poll that we put for our 1996 draft. I haven't checked it since a few days ago, and we said we'd
Nice.
close it out for next show. Last I checked, Pat was leading
I hope so.
because he's a piece of
Work.
Garbage.
Cleric. Not a lot to be said here. I think they're going to retain their role as the bomb dig. Hopefully, they're not as boring. That was like the primary feedback or criticism on the old forums, that they're boring. But like, is it
Right.
boring to be the best?
You're
Ask Bon
you're
Jovi.
playing a healer. It's gonna be boring.
Does it have to be though?
Get over it. It's
I'll be
gonna
honest,
boring.
man. These changes, I think, are for better or worse, getting them much further away from EverQuest, and I think it opens up the world to a lot of how we use things like the cone heal and AoE stuns and stuff like that. Like they already have some flavor to it. I think there's a lot they can do with the tools that they have already given themselves permission to use.
You guys more PK? Are you more interested in clerics now?
Probably about the same. I
Okay.
don't think the changes were drastic enough to really push me one direction or another. They're about the same. They're the top healer, and if I feel like healing, that's probably what I would roll.
Moose.
Tough to say. I'd say yeah, probably didn't move the needle much, but I've always liked them a lot. So I'd say they're still in my top 3 with the other 10 classes I like.
Yeah, they made a good thing a little bit better.
Right.
That's all you can ask for, baby. We're
That's
just
it.
out there trying to make the world a little bit better.
I think they should think of that for Bard.
Druid. Archetype, jack of all trades, caster. So I don't think there's a ton of changes in the old Druid, but let's go through it anyhow. Defining traits: excels at solo play through control over animals and self-sufficiency. One of the strongest solo classes. They're
Straight
emphasizing
up
that
in writing.
in writing. Functions
In
as a
writing.
primary healer, not a premier healer, a primary healer with strong direct damage capabilities at the cost of a lighter buff suite than the Shaman. What's changing? It's not changing.
Yeah,
So,
nothing.
Why? This class was perfect. No notes.
they're like, yeah, they got it. They
You
got
have
it the first
everything
time
in the
around.
game. What would we need to change?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So more depth in core nature magic lines. The updates focus on depth over breadth. Breadth. Do you guys say height or height?
What?
Do you know sociopaths say height? How many
No.
chat? Tell me who says height.
No
Come
one.
at
Like
me.
for like
No.
height and weight?
Yeah, like he is. His height is 5 feet. I'm sure
No
there's
one.
some.
No one in the
No,
history of the world has said that.
A lot of people said. My ex said that, dude.
No.
It's
why I got- that's why we said
one of
no.
one.
That's why
I
said
mean,
this
she
can't
was-
I
work.
remember if Elliot's still watching, he used to say gauge instead of gauge. Like I was gonna.
It was the
gauge
gauge on
something.
that.
I was like, what? What are
A
you
deep
saying? Is that a
gauge.
French word? He's like gauge, like a speed gauge, limit gauge. What? I was like,
I used to say scourge, not scourge, and I am still mad about that.
you
Anywho.
can't just add an H to the end of the word. There's no H there at the end. to get
More
height.
upgrades and scaling for existing spell. So I think they're filling in the gaps in between heals and damage, blah, blah, blah. This just sounds to me like further development of an already existing class.
Yeah.
Unique utilities that feel distinctly Druid. I really hope there's like weather. I really hope they can make it night. What is that face?
Druid's so good. They're like, let's add more moonroofs to this car. Like they're just giving them they're like, oh, they can also change the art on the thing. Like, what are we? No, like
They pay your sub. It's like you have a half. It's half of your sub.
yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, they don't stop
It
giving.
only
them
costs
stuff.
$8 a month to play a druid.
Their more should be nothing. Their more should be nothing.
Should be, what more do you want?
Yeah.
Less elemental spells without a nature theme. I don't know how to interpret that. I'm sure it'll be flavory stuff and spells shared with the ranger, which is good. It just means ranger's lesser druid. But in exchange, some more of the generic utility is going away, particularly where it overlaps with the other priest classes.
That's interesting. So that what that reads to me is that they're probably going to lose their strength of ether line or whatever, their buff line. So that'll be interesting, that they are going to be able to just be very active healers, but they're not going to be a buff bot, which actually might appeal to more people.
Yeah.
To be honest, I hate buffing sometimes.
I would assume they keep their
that's what it
damage
sounds
shield, but they
like.
lose their AC buff. That's what I would
They're
guess.
going to lose thorns? That's kind of a big deal.
No, they would keep their damage shield, but they lose that. They have the AC buff. They have like wood skin.
Oh,
line.
yes, Woodskin. Yeah.
That's got to go to Cleric. Like, come on, what are we doing?
Agree.
No,
100%.
No, they're plate skin.
My stocks of Druid have gone up quite a bit, and for our for our party, I've considered sort of playing one, even if someone else is playing a healer, frankly, because they can flex so well into other roles.
100%.
I know it's not optimal, but it's pretty dang good. That flexibility is worth quite a bit.
They're fantastic. We run in the static I was running with 3 other folks West Coast. We had a druid and a healer, and it was great. They were our puller, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, even on their roles on this change, it looks like they changed them from healer support, and they also added magic DPS. So they're really pushing to make them, like, if you had another healer, you can still bring a druid and they'll still be very useful, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you got a backup healer in case things go wrong.
Yeah.
And someone who could teleport you, and someone who can shapeshift, and someone who has a pet, and so.
I think they're definitely getting rid of the pet. They got to get rid of the pet.
I hope so, but it sounds like the forum, they're still talking about it like it exists, and I'm like, why are we talking about this?
They got to
Please
get rid of
use
the pet. Keep
They
the
need at
tree.
least
Beastmaster.
5 more moonroofs.
Keep the tree ability.
Yo, dog, I heard you like moonroofs.
Oh, they do have Moon Blast or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Moonfire or whatever. Yeah.
Moonfire. Yeah. So, Moose, would you play a druid?
Hell yeah. Who wouldn't? The only thing stopping anyone from picking druid is that you will throw a rock and hit 45 druids. So
Yeah.
you don't need to play a druid, because it's like owning a boat. You just know someone who has one, and you never have to own a boat.
Yeah.
But
yeah. That would be what would turn me off to them. Not that they're so good that everyone wants to play one, and I feel like just how many. It's like it's like the warriors in classic WoW, where it's like you bring fucking 35 of them to a raid and they all want the same gear.
Just go to their defining traits. Just read through the defining traits. It reads like a laundry list of everything that is in the game. Wheels, teleports, evacuates, damage shields, regeneration, high impact nukes.
Yeah, I'll just read like the activating words.
That's their signature.
Ranging from damage over time, elemental nukes, to healing over time and snares, teleports, evacuates, damage shields, regeneration, high impact nukes, primary healer, strong direct damage capabilities. It's a lighter buff suite. Excellent soloers. Control over animals. They're not losing charm. I will say that charm, the changes of charm has made it increasingly difficult to be a charm druid, because you do need to stack charisma to like an unnatural amount, which is not easy for this class. But
it would
they
probably
have
be
other
a
means
detriment
of
too.
They have other means of soloing.
I don't know. Just the way it is read, it's like you have damage over time, elemental nukes, heals over time, teleports, evacuates, damage shields, regeneration, and high impact nukes, and it says as signature tools. It's like you can. That's the Druid signature. You could just fucking do everything better than everyone else.
The meme is
That's
those
really
women
rough.
holding up the child with the druid.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
The
That's
skeleton on the chair is like a Spellblade.
that is quite the
They're like,
laundry list.
oh, we dumped 700 dev hours into druids can now repaint the sky in the image
Yeah.
of Epstein.
It wouldn't be a podcast without an Epstein
Make
reference.
the stars.
Maybe that's our shocking content. We keep referring to the systemic.
Whatever. I
Anywho.
went for the comedy to get us demonetized.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Druid, there's not much more to say. We can keep saying it, but we won't. Elementalist. So this is interesting. They are obviously a pet-based spell caster. They're going to specialize in elemental magic, fire, water, earth, air. No heart. They are
Sad.
functioning as a pet-based summoner with strong direct damage nukes, so their core is staying intact. It's about tightening the theme and adding depth. So the direct damage is getting more variety, where each of those elements will get a direct damage line. So that's neato. Your pets are getting more to do. You'll have deeper interactions with those pets and your spells, which is already pretty cool. Like the fact that you can cast the blast line,
Yeah,
and it interacts differently with the pets. Like that's pretty neat. Like I was pretty happy with that, to be honest.
yeah, it makes
Very
makes it
fun.
more interesting. And yeah, I thought that was a very cool niche idea. That's something you don't really see in other games. I thought that was original and very cool.
The big question here is on the conjuration side, generic utility items like food and bandages are being replaced with elemental themed equivalents that better fit the theme. So is it like, instead of being able to summon a hamburger,
Elemental food. Elemental bandage.
are you summoning like a fire hamburger?
A coal. A
Yeah.
coal burger.
Are you summoning a fire bandage? And sort of, we probably will go over in some detail the patch notes, but bandaging is now going to the WoW model of only doing one every minute, meaning it's not, it's actually much better for everybody.
Yeah,
But who knows what elemental themed equivalents, like if they'll be
It
summoning.
makes like melee soloing viable, straight up, like more viable.
Yeah.
Like, then the bandage changes are massive. If you weren't going first aid, you are now. If you're a melee person.
So more elemental servant, pet interactions and synergy, more conjurations, more variety and direct damage, less generic conjurations and spells that don't fit the elemental theme. So I'm worried they lose things like invisibility, frankly, or maybe they get like air invisibility or something like that. So that could stick with that. But
yeah. I mean, that's sort of more of a variety and different more interactions and stuff. So I can see them still keeping a lot of the utility they had while also adding more fun stuff to the toolkit, which that's how it reads to me anyway. I mean, this to me, like, it does sound very cool on paper. I don't think it was anything I was like super excited about. I did think it was like a cool and original idea, and I hope that people that were playing Elementalists are happy and excited with the changes. But for me personally, this was never really something I was honestly considering trying to play.
I will say there's a lot here not being said because the wizard and elementalists have been very clearly sort of broken. Not broken, but like split up. Whereas before there was quite a bit of overlap in the damage types being elemental based, whereas wizard has moved away from that. And we'll talk about that when it gets to it. One thing I wish I saw here, where we saw with the Beastmaster, was like party based utility / buffs. Because right now Elementalist brings those like mana regeneration, pets, and like melee haste and things like that, depending on the pet they're using. They're not talking about that at all here. I don't know how to interpret that.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they were already fantastic group mates because of that. I hope that they keep that, and I hope that they keep that. But I mean, I view that as like elemental servant interactions, right? And spell and pet synergy. So I know that's like obviously the blast thing too, but I think that was pretty core to their identity. So hopefully that'll stay the same.
I'll say for me, not to give much away, but I've been highly considering wizard / elementalist, with elementalist sort of taking the lead and I don't know if this helps or hurts it, but
It's very vague. So
It's vague.
it's tough to pinpoint.
It's
I
vague.
guess you'd have to kind of hop in there and really give it a test drive and see if it feels any different.
Yeah.
And find out what you gained, what you lost, and see if it's worth it. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot here to go off of. It's very, very vague.
I think folks still sleep on Elemental's potency in groups overall. I think they're fantastic.
I think
if not
we
one of the
sleep on them.
best.
I think we sleep on them.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you're probably right. No, I think Elementalist has always intrigued me. I just don't love casters primarily. And like if I want a pet, I want a wolf. You know,
Sure.
I don't want like a wispy air boy.
Maybe like a fire wolf.
I mean, well, maybe if
I
you
think
say it
just
like that.
For
They're always
me,
like derpy, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. They're all
Why are they always,
shoulders.
like they're always shoulder beasts with like narrow little
Look like the Warner Brothers,
gin.
like the big red guy, you know, the furry red guy from.
Yeah, who was what's the prototypical design for elementals? I feel like they're all like wispy, like genies that lost their way or like married an element.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna say, Pat?
Whatever. Anyway.
for me, the ranged DPS caster is like a wizard, and it's kind of hard for me. Like I do think it's like a cool idea, but just for me, it doesn't really appeal to me all that much to do an elementalist. Like I would rather have like big AoE nukes and then like teleport out with a wizard versus having like, you know, a fire pet that I can blow air at for a big bomb. Like I said, I think that it's I think that it's cool. I think it's kind of original and a neat idea. It just doesn't really speak to me all that much.
Yeah. All right. Not much to say. So we're an hour in. We've gone through.
And
we've
we're
gone through a
on number
third.
2.
Yeah.
So let's just keep rolling.
Yeah.
Enchanter, masterful conductor. That's a hell of an archetype.
Great
Yeah.
archetype name.
Yeah. Identity. So they're the master of mental influence, much like you, Moose. They're the premier crowd
Me?
control class. Charisma primary stat. They control encounters. Nothing is hugely different there. Their existing toolkit is solid. Their identity is clear. So the update focuses on scaling and depth over addition and removal. Charm is being tuned, which this is everything. Those 4 words is everything. It's currently
Sure.
stronger than intended. And we brought into better balance.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
But it remains a core
To the
part.
ground.
So it's like an
Yeah.
Being tuned.
Illusions
No.
are getting more practical value. I desperately want to know what that means.
I think that is super cool if they go the route.
We
Or the tornado.
So
I do what I
illusions are
want.
getting more practical value. Imagine a world where the enchanter can turn the gnome fighter into a troll to increase their regeneration.
Whoa.
I don't think that's what they're
And
planning.
also make
That's
them
cool.
super sad that they're now a giant class that can't fit through doors, which I
Yeah.
think is the more fun way I would use that.
But the second clause here, expanding their usefulness in social and factional situations. So actually, I'm totally wrong. Because it would say
Factional
in combat situations, meaning that if you are a gnome and you need to go to the troll city, they can turn you into a troll.
Big. That's huge. You play with your friends.
Depends on if they can cast it on target or self. In EverQuest, they can only cast it on themselves. They did have a buff that they could cast on somebody else that increased their faction with whomever they were talking about, like 1 rung. So they would go from like seething to like doesn't dislike to like dislikes. But we'll see. We'll see.
It's very
Oh, okay.
useful.
Well, that's kind of like when we were trying to get into Evershade Wield as an ogre, you have to get in biz and sneak past guards and stuff. It's a whole, Ocean's 11. But I think it'd be super cool if they have more play with their illusions. I think I'm gonna go so far as like enchanters should be able to transmog people. I think that'd be sick.
Forever?
No, like you can like 60 minutes. You can make yourself win fashion quests.
Oh, I see.
That'd
I
be
see.
fun. I like that type of stuff. That's the flavor I'm here for.
PK, where is your head on Enchanter? Has it changed at all?
It doesn't seem like they're really changing all that much, other than they're kind of nerfing charm a little bit. So to me, this is it sounds maybe slightly less powerful than it was, but still extremely powerful and something you're definitely going to want to have around.
Yeah.
So to me, no, this does not change my opinion on them. It still is definitely something I would give a go at just to like it feels like you completely pilot the game, which is awesome.
Pilot wings, much like your choice in the 1996 draft. Check it out.
Correct.
It's fine. You gotta pump those numbers up. I did see the draft. I thought it was excellent. I will say, as a spectator, I was not a participant. As a spectator, and the drama, chef's kiss. The drama afterwards, we'll get to later.
I'm psyched for 97.
97 is a good big year. All the 90s, late 90s bangers. I will say it says here on defining traits for Enchanter, then we can move on. I'm not playing one. It uses illusions to alter appearances. So it sounds like it can be anybody.
Yes.
For social, factional, or situational utilities. So it sounds like it's not going to be just self.
Good call. Okay. Happy for the Enchanter crowd, but I'm concerned for them.
Charm is going to tell the tale on that.
Charm's going to tell the tale. So we're going to scroll down. Defining traits, fights exclusively with melee weapons. Not crazy. Now, some of the patch notes are important here. They're utilizing a shield for tanking and dual wield. I'm sorry, utilizing a shield. The latest patch vastly increased the value of shields, meaning, they were useless before, now they're not. So I think there's a world in which fighters actually use shields as opposed to dual wielding. The fighter is being shaped into a dedicated tank rather than one that also competes on damage. Fighters don't love that. From their Discord. The fighter community was like, they highly valued the fact that they could flex into a DPS role if there was another tank there.
Yeah.
And that, as someone who seriously considered and seriously is considering fighter, that's an amazing piece of flexibility, because fighters don't get much flexibility in general. So that, basically having two roles in a group is neato. Now they're competing directly with the knights for a tanking spot and less with the rogues and the monks for a damage spot.
Yeah,
Broader aggro, survival school kit. Go ahead.
The only way that this makes sense is if they nerf the knight's abilities to tank while making them viable DPS in an off-spec kind of role, and then just having fighters be primarily the overarching tank. So you're always going to want to have a fighter as your main tank. You can make do with the knight classes, but the fighter will be your primary main tank for most dungeon content and stuff like that. Because if it's not that, then they have just what are you doing? You have other classes that can tank better than you, and now if you have one of those, you can't even really you can't do any kind of competitive DPS at all. Why would you ever want to bring a fighter? These are really bad changes. Very bad.
I will say on the defining traits, they still are giving them two-handed. They're giving them dual wield.
Yep.
So they do have a better damage option than any tank, from a martial standpoint.
And
No other tanks can dual wield.
Yeah, so I'm saying we're saying the same thing. Yes.
Sorry. Inquisitor is also a knight. I keep forgetting Inquisitor is technically a knight. I don't consider them a knight, but they are whatever. Yes. So they are. It sounds like they will have more white damage than anyone still, based on that, right? Dual wield alone.
Yep.
I mean, unless a two-hander's rocking on someone, but so I think the damage is still going to be there. I don't know how the stances work right now, though. And Jesse, you can help me on how they actually become damage now. But it sounds like it's just white damage that they have a stance for that buffs it, right?
Yeah, you don't lose access to some abilities. I actually kind of love it. It just is a flat buff in one direction or the other. You're either more defensive or you're more offensive, with just a 10% bonus. It's not like WoW where you lose the ability to class this and that skill, and you just and you're losing rage when you're. It's this perfect middle ground for 40-year-old.
Got it. So I think the way that the devs have specifically said that fighter will not out damage Shadow Knight. They want Shadow Knight to be Shadow Knight. They want them to be the damage leader. And I think that puts fighter in like second-ish place on damage for tanks, the way that they're trying to go.
Well, who would out damage of
Shadow
okay.
Knight.
Yeah, so
Shadow
I'm
Knight.
sorry. Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah, like they want Shadow Knight to be the big.
Yeah,
big
it's Shadow
damage
Knight,
dealer.
Fighter, Paladin, and Inquisitor probably in the same bracket.
Yeah. SK though, I think, and we'll get to them obviously with their changes. They're still magic heavy from the sound of it, which means they're also going to be resisted or able to be resisted. So I think fighter will still have their place on the damage chart. And even if they're second place, that's still not bad. So, but I get it. Like if you could flex to damage and join as a DPS, which fighter could do now, that probably goes away. But I don't know. I'm like Mr. Two Tank. Let's go comp guy. So I run with multiple SKs. I run with SK Pally.
Would you guys want a 2 tank group or a 2 healer group? Had to choose one or the other.
2 healer probably. That would be.
There's more downtime with healers, so probably
Yeah.
if you can stagger mana pools is more important than staggering health pools. But
Okay.
I think both are great, especially if one's a Pally or an SK and can flex a little bit.
Yeah. I will say the community is not happy with this. I don't love the change. It also kind of forces them to be the default raid tank and like premier content tank, which kind of stinks. Like if I'm a Paladin or if I'm an Inquisitor, like that just puts me in like difficult but not too difficult content like tank. And then what other role do I have? Like, and I'll caveat that with saying like maybe the abilities that Paladin, Inquisitor, and Shadow Knight are getting, because they're no longer hybrids, will make up for the fact that they're not going to be, S tier tanks. But it's just not clear at this point. I don't want another EverQuest where the only viable raid tank is a fighter or a warrior.
Yeah, I think that'll tell the tale as if fighters become like the bread and butter raid tank. But I do like. I mean, I like that they say less on the less thing. They say straight up melee DPS, but still competitive. So it sounds like they're still trying to make them good, just not as good.
Okay.
But anyway,
Okay.
They've acknowledged it. They're
Okay.
trying not to kill it.
Inquisitor. Okay. I just want to read this first sentence. The Inquisitor is a plate-armored enforcer built around a single premise: the denial and destruction of magical threats. That's a good book synopsis.
Class fantasy for this is off the charts.
Cold
So cool.
and forbidding, shaped by a philosophy that treats arcane power as something to be broken, drained, and turned against its wielder. So defining traits: plate-wearing melee tank with a focus on mental domination. Sure. Silence, dispel, mana drain, magical barriers. Legit. What's changing is their identity is being separated from the Enchanter. So I'm guessing no more Mez. I'm guessing no more haste. I'm guessing no more slow.
Sounds like it.
Both classes use mind control and ability, but it will still focus on the ability to lock down bad guys one way or another. But they're not going to have those buffs like the Enchanter has.
But they are. It sounds like they're going to have debuffs though.
Sure. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And mana drains is like the big thing too. Grab bag utility is being cut and consolidated, freeing up ability slots for tools that actually fit the class. Against melee opponents, the Inquisitor now has options, but using them costs mana, which creates a real trade-off against their primary role. So more fast casting and short range abilities. Cool. Unique abilities focus on eroding an opponent's willpower. What does that mean? I don't know.
You know what it means.
No, I think it's
with UI
it's
out of
debuffs. It's debuffs.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's debuffs.
Like they're going to make them get hurt more.
consolidation of existing abilities take up less slots, meaning you'll have the 10 skill jewels. Won't be so much competition between them. More differentiation in their tanking style. There's a lot in those 5 words. Who knows?
It's a vague statement, but it sounds cool.
And tools to help against melee opponents at the cost of mana. So cool. And less shared abilities with the Enchanter and less broad utility.
Do they have
PK,
broad utility?
I would say so, because we were thinking about running an Inquisitor tank because they had a ton of utility.
Yeah, they still do, but it's more specialized. They
I
can
mean,
like this. They have, like I said, there's tools to help them against melee opponents. Other than this, they're wearing plate. Hopefully, they can take the hits. So you'll be probably casting self buffs to make yourself a little bit more meatier. But it's yeah, their main and primary focus is destroying like casters and magic users. Um, so it's like it's a very specialized tank, but it sounds like they're giving them more options to be able to handle all tanking situations. It's a different kind of play style than other tanks, but it's still doable.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, I guess I'm like I never considered Inquisitor to have broad utility, but like because they have CC mana and charm-ish,
And
but like not
tranquility.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I guess they do have the haste and stuff too, right? They do have buffs. That's right.
Like
They
what
have
we were
like the
talking
lesser
about
versions of
running.
haste. Yeah. Okay.
The Inquisitor was like the linchpin of it.
Yeah. Okay. I sold myself being wrong. I'm wrong. But yeah, the I think for me, the key things that I don't think you said that made I was super excited. I didn't even want to play Inquisitor, but I was like, man, this sounds awesome. If you go to the defining traits, the last 2 bullets are really cool. So they're still getting their mind control tools, including brief charm, ability denial, and mental shutdown, which to me reads as they're going to be like big deniers for like they're going to be battlefield controllers in a really cool active way, kind of like how I envision like my monk plays in WoW, where like you can like silence someone, you can ring a piece, you can like you have tons of ways to like really mess with the enemy formation and setup, which I think sounds really cool if you're like into interrupts and like denying. Sounds like they'll have a lot of that. And then the redistribute stolen mana to allies and can enhance their magical capabilities or abilities. It sounds really cool on paper. I don't know what that means.
Stolen mana is cool.
Stolen mana is a
Yeah,
really
it's
cool
awesome.
thing. And like I think for me, like that, if you're running a caster crew, because I was reading on the forums that people were talking about like running like making casters more viable right now in M&M in general. And we can get to more caster focused discussion when we get to them. But like I think if you give a secondary mana pool of like stolen mana that can be distributed to casters to keep them in the fight longer, that makes caster parties so viable and cool, which I think is like a really really fun thing. So you can screw over an enemy priest and give their mana to your priest or whoever needs it, which I think is a really really, and I say priest archetype, not I know there's no priest class, but yeah, I think that's really cool.
Before we move on, a fun game to play here is put your child's name in front of this sentence. Your child employs mind control tools, including a brief charm, ability denial, and mental shutdown.
Yeah.
My kid does that to me. All 3 of those things.
Yeah.
Mental shutdown's on cooldown. She's casting it on cooldown.
I think the only thing that really scares me is the right above more, where it says the grab bag utility is being consolidated, freeing up ability slots for tools that actually fit the class. And then it says against melee opponents, they have options, but it costs them mana, which is a real trade-off against their primary role, which that doesn't excite me very much.
Just caster tanking.
Yeah, it sounds like you're like, am I a main tank or am I not a main tank?
Are you a specialized tank?
It sounds like
are you a specialized weapon?
I'm a very, very, very specialized tank. I not being able to really handle like a primary tanking role without like a serious trade-off and probably a lot more downtime is a bit of a turn off to the class. I like the idea of them just being able to destroy any kind of casters, and I have a feeling that as we get into more end game stuff, that will be where the real danger is. And so having an Inquisitor would be just probably the most useful tool you could have. So I'm not like completely turned off this class by any means, but like it does make me a little leery reading that and being like, I have to really change my entire play style and how I play just to handle a melee class so that I don't die. Sounds
you'll always be
sketchy.
trying harder in like normal content.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't understand what you actually need against melee opponents. Like I've tanked on my Shadow Knight. I have taunt and I got my death grip. I'm not really doing much else beyond keeping myself alive after that. So like, what tools do you need against?
They might
melee? I
have
don't-
less mitigation against
Yeah.
just white damage.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Okay.
It's they're 99% of their abilities all deal with like CC or spell interrupts or debuffs. So to now waste your mana just to be able to mitigate some white hits, like that, like hurts your toolkit a lot. So if you just have like one melee heavy pack, there might be a hell of a lot of downtime just because I'm not suited for the role.
So every knight class has that like you take 5% less damage button. Like
Yep.
and maybe Paladin, Shadow Knight, and maybe Fighter, I don't know, will have like you take 10%, but Inquisitor might be only you take 5%.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. They might just like tune it down for physics. Like they might just get hit harder from like regular old hits.
That's what I would assume is I'm
who
more
knows?
likely to get hit and will likely take more damage from melee.
I
Yeah, they
think
say
like,
a cost of mana. It doesn't say your mana. It says someone.
Yeah.
Which it does. But
It
using
does.
them
It says
costs
cost
mana.
them mana.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation here, obviously, but I think like how the stolen mana mechanic works and enhancing magical abilities, how that works, I think will define the stonks on this class.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like they didn't have tools against melee now.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're really losing anything there. If anything, they're gaining something, but it's going to cost mana.
It's a hold for me. I'm holding a stock, not buying more.
Me too. I genuinely think Inquisitor is going to be one of the best tanks in the game, and I think that still holds true.
Let's move on. Monk. Perfected weapon archetype. This is neat. So they are the only class, by the way, now which has the puller identifier. Now, who knows what these actually identifiers mean, but that we could read into that a lot. So defining traits: bare fists, kicks, weapons, staves, combat, feign death, cornerstone, cornerstone. Nothing crazy here. What's changing? The biggest change involves the monk's combat choices. Current cool toolkit is lean in a way that flattens moment-to-moment gameplay. So through expansion of the shared cooldowns, players will be able to make genuine decisions during a fight rather than settling into a fixed rotation. I imagine this as a hit button 1 and then buttons 2 and 3 like highlighted, and like it sort of gives you like a branching path, similar
Like Enhancement Shaman and
maybe Enhancement Shaman. I would also say Samurai from FF14 had this as
yeah.
well. I hope it's less involved than that.
Koetsetsu into
I
Ranzakuken.
love that class, but I hope it's not in this game. Ability scaling and upgrades are also being fleshed out across the full level range. That's neato. This is big too. And before these changes out, the monk community was like, there's no way this is happening. And then it kind of happened. So the other change is thematic, meaning the elemental theme in their abilities is being replaced with lore and aesthetics that belong specifically to the monk. So they're no longer going to be the fire. They're like the dance, like the what's the avatar? The benders.
Yeah.
No longer firebenders, that kind of thing. Class earns its identity through what it does, not through buffs it hands to others. And the ability design is being brought in line with that. This is really interesting. They have more meaningful combat choices. So Jeppy played a monk. He was complaining about only having a few buttons. They have more depth, more scaling, and upgrades across the full level range. Perfect. That's what we want to see. They have more monk-specific lore. I'm hoping I see Drunken Masters.
Yeah,
I hope I see
cool.
like
Way of the Crane.
Way of the Crane, stuff like that. They have more tools to assist with scouting and pulling. Love that. And more reliance. This reads to me like a melee that could legitimately solo without being boring.
Agree.
No more elemental themes and no more buffs for other players.
That was a stinky for me as a Mr. Giver.
Go on.
Yeah. That's a Moose's stinky. I thought that I really thought it was cool to have the group utility that monks brought. And I thought it was nice, especially as like a like if you're a shaman or a druid who, might not be the most mana efficient healer early game, it was nice to have, Way of the Water and stuff to offset that, both for healing and mana. So it's a bummer, I think, to lose that a little bit. But again, I go back anytime I get a Moose's Stinky and I go, oh, I remember in my heart the thing that devs said, which is their goal for every class is to bring clear value to groups and be genuinely fun to play. So I'm like, all right, I trust that they're going to have a solution there. Even though they're losing some group utility, they're going to gain it in some other way. I don't know what that is, but we'll figure it out. I guess
Pat, can you
maybe that, but
PK, can you give me a theme song for next show for Moose's
Sure.
Stinky?
Moose's Stink done. Yeah.
Okay.
I can give it to you. I can give it to you right now. Hang on.
No, just let it cook. I can't upload a new song to an active client anyway, so you making it now is no value. But let's just let that simmer a little bit, ferment.
farts and screams.
Not much more to say. Oh, so capable of soloing due to their self-reliance. I gotta say, this brought Monk, which was off my radar, like in the middle of my radar. I quite like this. Not in the middle of the radar.
This brought it from level 10 to 7 at least.
I'm a monk player from Classic EverQuest. I love that aesthetic. I love being a monk in a world full of people with armor and stuff like that and just beating stuff up with my hands. I love the self-reliance of it. I love the I don't want to play right now, feign death, I'm going to go deal with my crying kid button. I love their weapon aesthetics. What I don't love in this game is that they don't have monk-specific armor like looks, but I'm sure that'll change. I gotta be honest, this is pretty appealing, and I'm sure Jeppy is feeling the same way because he was hot on monk as it was, and I'm sure he's going to get even hotter when he reads this. PK, what's your stop writing the song, PK?
It's too late.
He's writing.
I can see it cooking.
Don't give him a song request, otherwise he will go in.
Where
I think, I mean, for me, I think it probably adds to the class for me a little bit more. I think the enhanced things that are not, airbender type stuff, I didn't think that was very cool to begin with. It seemed more of a elementalist type of theme in the first place. So going back to more martial artsy type themes sounds very cool. Giving them more premier abilities to be better pullers sounds cool. And it sounds like they're going to be like damage dealing machines, which is how can you hate that? I think it's going to be very cool. This was stocks up for me. This was a PK boner, not a Moose's Stinky. Yeah.
I don't have that sound effect.
PK Wood.
So we have one Moose's Stinky, we have one PK Bone, and I'm hot on it as well. So I think on balance,
bones up across the board.
Bones
there.
up, yeah. We're bones up for Monk. The things.
It's a Thursday show, folks.
I was just telling my kids today, they're like, why do you do a podcast, Dad? I was like, well, I kind of want you guys to have like a record of how I was at this time in my life. And like flash cut to them in like the year 2047.
Yeah.
Seeing Dad do a bones up for monks.
This is for you, kids.
Bones up.
We do the show so you get a record of what degens we are.
Necromancer. Go, Chris. Just go. Just go. Just
let me tell you, man. When I was reading the description on Necromancer, now for those at home who are just joining us and have lived in a cave, I am a Necromancer. I'm bones up, all up for Necromancer. I have been, but I was bones up in a way that I don't think Necromancer mains were. And when I say that the identity and the things that the devs have said in this robust piece of beautiful literature felt like it was picked out of my brain, word for word.
A lot of words here.
There's a lot of words here, and there should be because it's an awesome class that can do a lot. And I think that the way that they're going to play, and dare I say, they're coming for you, Druid. I think that Necros are going to be Druids with slightly more damage and more uptime because of the pet. And I think that they are going to have a startling amount of similarity because the way Druids read is they're losing their buff pool a little bit, right? So they're going to be a much more active support class. And that's already how Necros play. And it sounds like they're leaning directly into what I loved, which was their take something to give something, debuff and transfer buff. And I love that kind of play style. So defining traits, obviously, you still have the pet focus magic. They have corruption and decay as primary damage sources, and they have life drain effects. They've got their minion is going to now be a capable tank, which is awesome because that was kind of where they struggled. So you're going to have an off tank in your group if you have a pet with a necro or a necro pet. Your pet progression is going to be kind of cool. They kind of grow up with you, which I think is fun. Can temporarily raise fallen enemies as additional pets. So you're going to be able to have a little mini necro army, which I was like, oh, bones up. Literally, let's go. Control, disempower, bend undead enemies to their will. So obviously, if there's undead, if you have a cleric and a necro, you're going to be eating good in the neighborhood. Drains life force, strength, etc. from enemies and redirects it to themselves, their pet, or allies. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to be able to debuff an opponent and give that buff to somebody else. And I thought it would be really cool if in a necro world, they answered the question, what if a priest was an edgelord? And what if they had to take to give, right? And I think that's a really cool fantasy. They have defensive shielding options that offset the health cost of their resource stuff, so they could take from a temporary health pool instead of taking from their own health pool. That's cool. CC options, obviously, they were already CC machines with fears and snares, and one of the strongest solo classes in the roster. So, I mean, what's not to love about this? I think that it sounds like not a lot is changing from Necro from a like how they feel standpoint, but the things that they're getting from a group standpoint and a utility standpoint just scream to me as a person who loves maining supporty type classes that also wants to be able to do damage and be viable solo. I mean, Necro's just got it.
It sounds awesome. It really does. All of the abilities in general sound awesome. The death theme is obviously, it's always cool. It doesn't matter what it is, it's always going to be cool. And like having more unique utility tied to death, corruption, and life drain sounds amazing, and it sounds very, very fun play style to use. I like the trade off and trading resources and how to balance them correctly and to min max and be able to play them at like max effectiveness sounds very fun. And this was not a class I was high on at all, and I'm very high on them now. This sounds very fun.
Yeah, you were very low on them. You were like, this sounds like a trash class. They just gave their resource to other classes.
Yeah,
like why not just play that class?
No, imagine Pat goes Necro. Imagine Pat gets first pick in the draft and goes Necro.
I will say
it just devastates me.
I will say that this is terrible news for Pat and myself because we've been watching Chris play against type for 35 years, taking this class designed for X and just forcing it to do Y with sometimes great success, but sometimes not great success. And here we have this class, which is just calling to you.
Yeah.
With this stuff. So I'm happy that it's where it is now, because I know you were already hot on it in its original sort of like boring state compared to this. Like it wasn't even like the Necromancer of early April was nowhere near as good looking as this, and you were hot on it back then. So I imagine that this is like a black hole to you in terms of like the gravitational pull.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a very inviting black hole.
So this, like me and PK got to think about which healer we're maining.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be Necro for me.
Yeah.
Dude, Necro. You know, the only way to keep me off Necro is by going Necro yourself. I'm doing this for the group.
That would be fantastic. So undead minions that function as a capable tank, they change from just a little skeleton to what sounds like a big chunky sort of meaty zombie, and even beyond that. Pretty cool, man. There's a lot of riz here, as the kids would say.
Yeah, it's the whole play style now is risk reward and like living on that fine line, and it sounds very fun and
He's
very
gonna
exciting.
wipe us a few times.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
But we'll have our fun will be higher because of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the friendly fire in Helldivers. Like you're having
Yeah.
fun.
It's gonna
But
be
you're
a lot
still
of
dying.
like. It's gonna be a lot of like. I got you. I got you. I got you. I don't got you.
Yeah. Which has been phrases we've uttered before.
Yeah.
Live, laugh, lose, baby.
Live,
Let's
laugh,
go.
live, laugh, lose. That's
Let's
the
go,
ongoing
baby.
stream. All right, Necro, really positive. So obviously stocks are up on that. Paladin. Protector bound by oath and their deed to their deity. So defining traits, they're obviously plate class wearing. It sounds as if from the Discord that they are positioning the Paladin into the one-hander plus shield variety. I know it says wield a two-handed weapon for DPS, but like you're not going to be doing that. It sounds like they're positioning them for the one-hander plus shield for their tanking, whereas for the Shadow Knight, they'll be positioning them to a two-hander for the pure DPS. There are divine powers expressed through melee strikes and physical contact rather than spell casting. So this is the differentiation between the Paladin and the Cleric. This is where people are getting pretty happy. So the fast casting emergency healer at high mana cost, meaning I can save a life. Bang, high impact. Bang, I've saved a life.
Lay on hands type deal.
Versus just like a Cleric spell from 20 levels ago, which has a long cast, and it's just like you're just hitting it 15 times to do what a Cleric can do in one button. Excelling at last second save. So like you are just juicing the Paladin class fantasy of, oh no, I need to save that person's life. Bang, I just did it. They can absorb harm for intended allies. That's really neat. They're taking some of that damage. There's a blessing of sacrifice ability in WoW, which sort of speaks to that directly.
Yeah.
The new thing as well is consecrate the ground, also a Paladin thing. Just make that ground glowy. I'm sure it's going to give auras and do damage to bad guys and things. Passive divine auras, a strong anti-undead toolkit expressed through combat and presence. Would love to know what that means, presence.
You know
And a
what it is.
distinct tanking style built around divine resilience and protection. So what's changing? They're getting some distance from Cleric. They're both divinity based, but they will be separated at a mechanical level so that nothing alike in practice. The other shift is in healing. Paladin is becoming more distinct by using fast mana intensive. So they're never going to be a viable healer, like a group healer, because I think you're just going to blow through your whole mana bar to cast these heals. But it's the emergency heal button that where you can save a life. Nothing here about doing DPS other than the use a two-hander for DPS, but no one's surprised by the fact that the Paladin will probably be the lowest damage output melee class there is, but it sounds like they have a lot of good trade-offs as a result of that. So less generic utility. I would imagine they're losing things like roots and stuff like that. Less
They
traditional.
probably still keep a lot of that for undead only. That would be my guess.
I gave you that. Less ability shared with or derived from the Cleric. More sacrifice mechanics, distinct tanking, separate from the other tanking classes. What the heck does that mean?
You know.
And more auras. So like Diablo, they're kind of like a Diablo 2/WoW Paladin, much more than they are an EverQuest Paladin. How you guys, PK? How do you feel about this guy?
This is a PK boner for me. This turned a class that this was not a class that I was ever considering prior to these changes. This to me sounds a lot more interesting. It's a very clearly defined role where you're not going to be stuck off healing in the background somewhere, where you'll have, you're going to have your ability to tank and take damage for other people, and then when crap hits the fan, be able to pop out like a big fat heal or two really fast, and that could completely turn the tides of what could have been real bad. So this put Paladin on the radar for me. I'm a fan of these changes. I like them. I like them a lot.
Whoa.
Moose, what are you eating there, buddy?
Taco Bell.
If you must.
Nice, dude.
A gentleman never asks and a lady never tells.
I'll let you smash that Chipotle. I'll let you get that explosive diarrhea out of the way as well when that comes.
I said I had tummy issues, right? Nothing helps quite like Chipotle.
Pour some fast Mexican food on top of that. That'll settle it.
I'll settle it. Settle it.
It's
I'll
like a
have all
Tom's
these-
Chipotle.
Just guac covered black beans, and
Yeah.
it's good. It's good for the soul.
Where are you at with this guy,
Um,
this class?
I gotta say, I'm not a paladin person at all, and reading this was one of the most excited I got about a class next to Necromancer, which is crazy because I think the way the paladin fantasy is not being a shitty healer; it's being a savior when things go awry, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so
You're
my
100%
paladin
right, yeah.
FF in Final Fantasy 14, I think that their class fantasy is so flashy and so awesome and so like it has the peacock moments that come once every 7 minutes or 10 minutes or so. But man, the peacock moments look sick. And like I think for this, like this is the equivalent of that where like Paladin's going to be your baseline person and then all of a sudden everyone's going to be panicking for a second and your Paladin's going to rip off like 2 crazy heals that are going to completely turn the tide of the entire fight and keep like your healer up or someone who is going down. And I think like in WoW they kind of have that. In 14 they have that. And I think that they're getting a lot more of that reactive oh shit moment stuff here that I think just nails the fantasy so well, where you could just have that one look at me moment and you will have 15 to 30 fights where a paladin is a nothing burger, but the one fight that could have lost you hours of playtime of trying to corpse run and get your level back, that paladin's going to bail you out, and that's the one hole in one they need on the golf course to keep coming back. And I think that is perfect.
I will fully echo both of your sentiments and say like big like stocks are up for Paladin for me. Like, oh my goodness. And even the nothing burger moments, the 30 fights that there's nothing burgers happening, they're casting consecrate. They have these auras. So they're just like buffing the group in a way that they weren't before. Like before they were just doing crappy damage. They were taunting, they were taking damage. They had like the guardian thing which saved some lives, but like there will be an inherent like the floor of this class has gone up in like daily play and in like regular like group by group or like bad guy by bad guy play, but also the ceiling has gone way up as well, and that they can make high impact plays when that needs to happen.
Yeah.
100%. And I think the key so to bring it back to Necromancer, and I think like a really good example of the things that
Let's bring it back to Necro.
Well, because it's just my focus, but like the thing, I'll marry it together with Paladin. The thing that drove me to Necromancer is that there's really cool active gameplay that is impactful, but also not active, not passive. And I think that a really cool shift that I like with these class changes is that there's a lot more active ways to impact your party versus like passive ways to impact your party. And I think a really cool example of this for Paladin is the sacrifice mechanic, where you can absorb harm on behalf of allies. So a really underutilized and underloved ability in FF14 is cover. And cover is like a way to take damage from someone else that could have taken it and bring it to you as a paladin. So if you're good, you could cover someone on like a potential white mechanic, absorb the damage. I don't know what type of, if they'll still have Holy Bulwark or whatever the Unholy Bulwark equivalent is, but if you could pop that, be invulnerable, pull that damage to you while you're invulnerable or something and save a wipe, that could be such really cool interactions that I think are possible now. I don't know if they are in the game.
To pour some water on that, they're like divine shield spells. Typically you lose all aggro, like the mob will generally shift away from you.
True. I'm thinking bosses more of, but yeah.
Okay.
Like if there's like a,
yeah,
I don't know, like now you have a ranger death touch, like outplay, you know, potentially, which I think could be very cool. But yeah, I think like things like that, the sacrifice mechanic could be really, really interesting to see play.
Yeah. Okay, we're all feeling really positive about Paladins, and I actively want one of us to play one.
Big bones up.
Ranger. I haven't done my transition notes. Okay, the Ranger transition. So this is a big change as well. So defining traits, proficient with bow and dual-wielded blades, capable as an off-tank with limited aggro control. They can taunt. They can track nearby creatures. They're probably the best tracker. The master of snares. What is Barry called? Jill?
Unlocking. Master of unlocking.
The master of lock. Yeah, the master of unlocking. they are the strongest in outdoor zones. It just says it. Just says that. They're just the strongest in outdoor zones. Which
Can we just shout out that Pat has? I don't think Pat has ever played Resident Evil, but he knows everything about it.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
okay. Well, we should shout that out.
Yeah, I'm the best. I'm the best watcher.
Consider it shouted out. They're the strongest in outdoor zones, and the game is a lot of it outdoor. I don't know why my words were ordered in that way, but a lot of the game is outdoor. So when you're the strongest in a lot of the game, things ain't so bad. What's changing? The Ranger is moving away from its druidic inspiration and toward a distinct identity as a wilderness veteran. Like, that sentence just makes me want to go buy like a Porsche. like all is well.
Was this your Necromancer?
This is
this is exactly who Jesse sees himself as.
Jesse the Wizard sees himself as a ranger, and it's
he is a wilderness
equivalent of-
veteran.
it's class dysmorphia. It's amazing.
That's dysmorphia. It's a disease, dude. The core remains the same: sword, bow, deep knowledge of natural world, but toolkit is shifting to match the theme. Generic magical utility and elemental abilities going away. Thank God. They are survivalists, not spellcasters. Replaced with tools that feel physical, and I'll say even kinetic rather than conjured. Thank goodness for that. Fieldcraft side of the class is getting more room. Campfire enhancement. I'm like whatever on campfire enhancement. I know it's important, but like, okay, I can make a camp better. Travel and escape abilities are expanding. Like, that's neato. Maybe they get gate. Snares and movement impairments.
It'll be something like ensuring that you can flee from a battle gone bad.
Yeah. So distinct identity from druids and other hybrid classes. That's what they're getting more of. They're getting more depth in snares. This to me reads like unresistible snares. This to me reads like fixed duration snares, meaning I know I have a 2-minute snare on this thing no matter what happens. Like, I can't resist it. Campfire enhancement and natural remedy healing as out of combat utilities. I'm interested. Is that going to be like a good berry from like D&D?
Yeah, I don't know.
Less.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Shared druid abilities and generic magical utility and elemental. Like, I always found it cheesy that they had like the elemental procs. That is pure Spellblade to me, or pure Archer, frankly. I always found that kind of cheesy, so I'm happy to see that being jettisoned. Chris.
Yeah, them having elemental abilities in the first place didn't really make much sense.
Yeah. Like, I get that their elements are generally associated with being outside, but it's like not really.
You know, I mean, you're a ranger. You're not Storm.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, you're Wolverine. You're not Storm.
Yeah.
Where are we at on the old Ranger? There's a Discord thread right now that says Ranger is the best class in the game.
Me.
Currently?
Yeah.
Currently.
Well, I think it's like with this design.
Oh, with this design. Okay. Dude, this might blow your mind. This is a Moose is stinky for me. I'm a stinky.
Moose is stinky. Always cheating.
Wow, that is the inside joke of inside jokes, and like
that's a throwback.
That's a deep cut. Holy, Scotty Hartnell.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I think everything reads very cool. It reads awesome, but there are two distinct camps of Ranger: an Aragorn and a D&D, and they are not the same. And I think this is leaning much more Aragorn and much less D&D, because I think Aragorn is not a magic man. He's a magical man.
He looks magical.
He just is a magical Viggo Mortensen man, but he is like a rugged terrainsman, a man of the forest, not a magically inclined.
Yeah, not a fae.
Exactly. I mean, he is kind of,
but he doesn't like come from the Feywild.
Right.
One.
And like, I just think like what I think of like my headcanon for a ranger in this type of game is a magically inclined type of woodsman, and this seems like he's going to more of a Batman of the woods, which I could be cool. But for me, headcanon wise, that's just not how a ranger feels
Yeah.
to me.
Like a Bear Grylls, but or Survivor Man, because Bear Grylls was a fraud.
Yeah.
Oh, was he?
He just lays back and thinks of England.
Well, he ate those grubs, right?
Yeah, but like there's like this one scene where he's like, check out this, like he's representing how far in the distance of and like how deep in nature they were, and then like the camera panned to the right, and like there's a highway.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Survivor Man was actually out there surviving. But yes, all that's to say, yeah, I think for me, I think go off kings and queens that are ranger fans. I think your kit is going to be dope. It just doesn't speak to me thematically.
PK.
I just I've always kind of felt that way about him. I don't know. I haven't played it, so I don't know what it feels like to play. But just it's not really ever been a class fantasy that I've been super into. I've always pictured rangers as more archers, and there's already an archer class. So to be, you know, most like somewhat bow, but mostly, you know, hand-to-hand combat, and then like throwing traps and trying to run. It doesn't really speak to me. I'm sure it'll speak to a lot of people. I'm sure it's a very cool class to play. Just for me personally, I'm not really a fan of it.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't think this changes the fundamental strengths and weaknesses of the class, meaning it's going to be really good in a small group and less good in a big group.
I could see that.
Because there's going to be just like other classes that specialize in other areas where the ranger is a generalist.
It seems like something that you wouldn't mind having. I'm sure they're beneficial to a group for sure. There's probably a lot of utility that they're designing or thinking of or have plans for that I haven't personally seen how insanely useful it is. But like, even if you're able to just trap stuff and be able to have everyone run and, you know, save me from a corpse run is already super useful.
Yeah.
And if their damage is, you know, not to be, you know, scoffed at, then it's something that sounds fine to bring to me. I can't see it being a bad thing to have. It's just doesn't seem like it's something for me.
Yeah. What it doesn't say here is like more damage. So I think there's still going to be the lower tier of just damage output in general, while still being a dual wield class. Go ahead, Moose.
And I just don't know how to read the phrase "strongest in outdoor zones." Does that mean they are the strongest in outdoor zones, or is
No,
this
I
they are
wouldn't
just
think so.
they are strong? Their kit is most useful in an outdoor zone.
That's how I read it.
The perfect example is the being able to kite a named mob like 10 levels above you, because you have a ranged taunt ability, while your group sort of plinks them from the rear, right?
Yeah.
That to me is like, you can't compete with that. If you want to kill, I forget the name of the crocodile, but in EverQuest it was Lockjaw. If you want to kill Lockjaw like 5 levels below it, you need a ranger in this game.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, my current ranger's kit focuses on 2 abilities, and its snare is 99% of it, and then whatever thing I want to fire at the thing that's snared. So that's pretty much like, as long as they still have that, the kit, you know, stock's still up or wherever they were on Ranger. But I just think for me, like I read this and they still have confusing identity between being melee, range, DPS, but not good at either. And they have the utility, but again, like, I guess my question is, if they're losing their magic, my heals and stuff like that, then why would I take a ranger over an archer? Which sounds like it's going to do much of the similar things and be plunking things much harder. So yeah, we'll see how it goes though. I trust the devs. I'm just saying that I was like, oh, I kind of like the magic aspect and being able to off heal a little bit and stuff.
Sure. I don't disagree.
Sorry, I don't mean to pour water on your distinct class.
No, this is actually quite a good conversation for me, because like it sort of helped me clarify that their fundamental role in the group is not changing.
I think the note saying that they're strongest outdoors, I think that you know, being able to do like masterful stuff outdoors, but like being kind of limited inside stuff reminds me of like you can't use travel form as a druid if you're indoors, and like if there's stuff like that where it's an active hindrance, just because you're a ranger, like that doesn't feel good.
Yes, agreed. All right, guys, let's power through. I know we're all tired. I'm
Not
getting
me.
tired.
I just ate Chipotle. I'm good now.
It's like 7 o'clock for him.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm exhausted. And I gotta get up at 4:30 again tomorrow.
Afternoon.
Yeah, same here,
Rogue.
dude.
So rogue, defining traits, melee dagger specialist, nothing crazy there. I don't like master of thrown weapons. I don't capable of landing critical hits with them. Okay, like I don't see a world where like the rogues are like throwing ninja stars. If they are, cool.
Sounds cool to me, but
that'd be kinda
not
cool.
why I would play a rogue.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's right. They primarily deal damage with backstabs. I will say that the Discord there's like a lot of people are like, our backstab doesn't do enough damage and it can still hit for very low amounts. So I hope some tuning occurs that can fix that, make the backstab floors much higher. So that you always have a good
so not
feeling
so
button.
crit dependent.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
This is a known change that we've been expecting, but here it is. So utilizes alchemical poisons, for which they can choose a variety of different effects, including debuffs, damage over time, and physical impairments. So has the most powerful form of invisibility. What's changing? Poisons. They're the biggest focus. To expand the poison suite into a genuine preparation system. This to me reads like they have to bring like their poisoner's kit with like the herbs, yada yada yada, to choose the sort of things they want to instill on the mob they're fighting.
Yep, like if they're fighting casters, they'll fight I'm sure they'll have a casting speed reduction potion or something, or whatever, poison.
Current rotation offers limited room for skill expression, meaning that you press auto attack and you press backstab. So they're being given a broader ability of stuff to work with. So, and there is nothing less here, which is interesting. More options for poisons and meaningful pre-combat choices. So read less inventory space, more depth and variety in combat abilities, and more ability scaling and upgrades across the full level range, which is like all the pure melee classes. All the pure melee classes are getting that same sort of full level suite of stuff to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue, for me, is still just a killer class. And hopefully if they fix the auto attack situation, like just how they're scaling, how the math is behind the actual damage they're doing. So that like right now they can't even compete with fighters at higher levels. But once they fix that, once they balance it, when you think about their insane CC ability, the insane like levels of control they offer as a melee class, like you got to be hot on Rogue. Rogue has got to be. It's gonna be a top tier class, no doubt. Yep. What are you thinking, Moose?
Yeah, I'm in the. I mean, I think stonks are very high for Rogue's identity as main DPS dealer, and the rest is kind of flavor, around their big damage numbers. But I think the flavor is looking cool, and I think I like the poisons being a pre-combat thing and a buff that you apply. I'm sure you could probably apply it reasonably during combat or whatever, during quick downtime in between pulls. But I think that adds a different, like a unique, or at least the veneer of a adaptable play style where you're like, oh, we're fighting undead now, so I'll use my undead rot poison or whatever, like that type of thing. I think that's kind of fun. So I think like anything that adds a little bit of flavor and thinking to a class that I think is probably before that very unthinking and just like you're just slapping two buttons basically and going and stunning when needed. But I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think the poisons in general and being able to put them on as pre-combat choices adds like another just element of gameplay that makes them more interesting, more fun, more adaptive, rather than just like you said, going in and pushing the backstab button and just I see big number, yay.
Yeah. My hope for that is that it translates into like you got to have herbalism because you're picking up this grass.
That'd be cool.
Rather than like you got to go kill these things to get these claws to turn into sort of the debuffs you need.
It'll probably be that.
Yeah,
it'll probably mix of both. Yeah,
let's be real.
Really an alchemist.
So, yeah, I this doesn't change my feeling on rogues. I have generally been put off, like in general, just like a me thing, on their poison stuff, only because I don't want my class to rely on a crafting ability. I just don't like crafting in games.
No, sir.
So
Yeah, I don't blame you.
but I think the rogue community is like pretty happy. Like this is what they
Yeah,
want.
I mean they're getting more on top of like a kit that was already pretty solid from the like identity standpoint, right? Like you know exactly what you're getting as rogue. They're going to be corpse pulling for people, and they're going to be stabbing pretty hard, and they're going to get some stuns and sneakiness, and
Yep.
and they're getting more of that, and then things on top of that. So I think it's only cherries on top of a very good sundae.
So we're gonna skip Shadow Knight because we're gonna do a whole episode on that. Just kidding.
Oh boy, save the best for nearly last.
Archetype: anti-hero, monster hunter, and these two words have set off the war, a war. Defining traits. So nothing changes. I'm not going to read the identity because it is what it is.
Nothing changes.
Nothing
except
changes.
everything.
We'll move on. They wear plate. They prefer two-handed weapons, considering that they're more of a damage-focused tank. Higher damage output than the Paladin, but less pure mitigation than the fighter. Doesn't say more damage than the fighter.
It doesn't say more damage than the fighter. You're right. I misinterpreted.
Casts fast, short-range abilities suitable for tanking under pressure. Can collect monster hunting abilities from past encounters.
We blue mage now, boys.
The community has been throwing the blue mage thing around, and why don't you tell people what a blue mage is?
A blue mage in Final Fantasy. A better way to put it is one of the most played Final Fantasy games of all time is Final Fantasy VII. In Final Fantasy VII, there is a yellow materia named enemy skill, and that is the basis for a blue mage. You get hit by a thing from an enemy, or you defeat an enemy, however mechanic they want to put in, and you learn one of their key abilities as your own, and you get that forever in your kit. That's a blue mage.
So thank you for that. They are now thematically distinct from the Necromancer, whereas before they were a derivation of the Necromancer. No pets, no death magic, and the undead are just another monster to them. They're no longer necromancers with swords. So,
Crazy change.
Crazy change.
That's massive.
Whether or not it is like insane or like actually crazy, I mean, like it's just a huge difference.
It is a huge difference. Stepping away from necromancy as its driving lore and toward the monster hunter, anti-hero fantasy. The sinister tone stays, the undead trappings don't. I think this is just written very well. It doesn't read like AI wrote it as well. So whoever's doing the writing for this, I think it's pretty good. The biggest addition is the monster lore system, because the game obviously needed more systems.
Let's add something new on top of all the things that aren't done yet.
Collectible abilities learned from specific monsters give the Shadow Knight a customization layer that rewards experience and planning. Drains and transfers remain central, but the ability suite around them is getting more depth and scaling. The class is gaining the same fast casting, short range abilities as the other knights. That's been a theme. It retains its role as the high damage tank with the Dark Edge, but no more pent and no more abilities shared with the Necromancer. So more monster hunter, anti-hero ability, identity and lore. You can see me flagging in real time here. Drains and transfers, collectible abilities from monster encounters. Like, oh my goodness, what does that mean? Does that mean temporary abilities, permanent abilities? The implications are sort of endless. There's more depth, there's more upgrades across the level range, good, and more fast casting abilities. Less, meaning none, necromantic lore and strictly undead theming. No dedicated pets, no generic magical ability. It's a different class.
Different class.
Yeah.
Same
class.
Same.
Spellblade's still becoming a husk of its former self. We're adding new classes to the game on top of it.
It's like the same role, but an entirely different class.
It's actually a good study in terms of how to accomplish a thing with two different flavors.
Yeah.
Entirely.
Yeah. I think they're doing a disservice by calling it Shadow Knight. They need to, like, the marketer in me is telling them to get the hell away from calling it that and just call it something different. It is a Witcher style blue mage class.
Yeah.
Just lean into the Witcher style thing.
I think it's cool. It's different. I don't think I've ever seen an MMO where you're collecting enemy abilities to use as your own. I think on paper it sounds very cool. I have no idea if in practice this is going to be cool or something that's really fucking annoying.
Seems like the kind of thing I would design as like an 11-year-old MMO designer.
Yeah.
And then, but when you start putting pen to paper on actually implementing you're like, oh, you know what? Let's give them life drain and go back to Necro. I think I think in general, to Pat's point, this is very different. I think this class, much like Beastmaster was originally, besides the identity, like you're back at the drawing board. This needs a clear identity now. It's going to live and die with the system you're introducing around it. And I think it is a very bold play, whether or not you agree with it or not, is a bold play to do when they just delayed the launch because they couldn't get their existing things going in time. Yeah. I think it's a bold play to reinvent the Shadow Knight, especially because, Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like EverQuest, this is one of those iconic classes that I think everyone has a very clear view of.
Yeah.
So I think that is it's going to be definitely a polarizing change, and I think it already is. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. The system will tell the tale that they introduce on finding new spells through enemies.
Yes. So let me just go through some of the Discord because it is on fire. The Shadow Knight that was advertised. Disappointed but supportive. My issue with Shadow Knight is an issue with alignment. Not Shadow Knight anymore. My SK headcanon. I'm confused by the cynicism around SK changes. And so there's been a lot of attention from players. This to me is like the perfect storm because of all the classes that you're going to fuck with, you chose the community of the edgiest boys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were already very outspoken in the Shadow Knight community.
This is like if you got two kids, one of them is like an SAT like mastermind, the other one hangs outside of Hot Topic, and you're like taking the stereo away from the Hot Topic kid, and they're just gonna be like they're just gonna be mad about it. Like so, you're pissing off the most volatile group of people that you probably have in your game, and on top of that, the SK was one of the strongest classes in the game. So you're on mute, Pat.
Okay,
gotcha. There you go. You're back.
I was saying it was one of the most played classes and most loved. So to completely change it like this is wild, man.
Most played, most powerful, most loved, most.
It's an entirely different system, and now there's gonna be a laundry list of God knows how many collectible abilities. Then you got to figure out which ones are good and bad. And now it's like you have like 100 different buttons now. Like, fuck.
Here's my hottest take. Take this entire kit, remove tanking from it, and give it to Spellblade. There you go. It's solved.
Yeah.
And bring back the
two
Shadow
birds.
Knight
Yeah,
of
that could
old.
definitely work.
One stone.
I feel like Spellblade's identity could easily be, and yeah, you could maybe magify it instead of making it a monster hunter. It's a mage hunter, but like I think either way, you could do something with this kit. When I read these, I'm like, oh, this feels like it could be a Spellblade too. Like Spellblades feel witchery.
So, like they have stirred up the perfect storm of discontent, and the devs are responding. Like Goblin, who is a sort of art guy, he put this like custom piece of art to be like, hey, like this is well, I want to shed some light on the sort of Shadow Knight that we see. And it's like this super moody picture where you can't really read too much into it. You can't there's nothing explicit, but there's a lot of like implicit stuff. And it looks like a Shadow Knight sort of like taking apart or pulling like the essence out of a creature it just killed in like a horrifically like dark and sort of gothic way, which in and of itself, to my eyes, very cool. It's a very cool like class fantasy. We'll put the system's viability aside, but I've been just loving watching all of the sort of the tears being shed.
Popcorning hard. Yeah.
I love the audacity of it. This is why we're here, frankly. This is Like they ain't playing safe.
Yeah, this doesn't. It definitely shouldn't be called Shadow Knight. Like this is not. Like the identity of a Shadow Knight has been long established. Like this is just not what it is. Like
Yeah.
we have at Lucas Meyer in the chat saying it's a fallen paladin fantasy. Like and it's 100%. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Spooky boy pally. Yeah.
So it's just it's very odd direction to take, and it was already such a well loved and high populated class. That just it feels weird. It's a weird direction to turn.
I think for me, like the big thing that I have, so I main a Shadow Knight for those who at home. I got put on Shadow Knight by the community, and I've stuck with it faithfully in the closed beta. And I will say, like, I love the Shadow Knight kit, and I think my concern as a current Shadow Knight player would be, can you please preserve the things out of the kit that are clearly working? Like, I love the Death Grip. I love the ability to drain. I love the ability to like the pet stuff is nominal to me, but I think the pet interaction where you can eat it for a shield is like a very fun interaction. Like I have 10 buttons on my bar for Shadow Knight. I want to hit all of them, and I think that's a very important thing. So as long as I can preserve the kit synergy that exists currently, I would remain optimistic. But I don't know how, because if you're going to tell me that, sure, yeah, you can get the consume pet ability. They won't have pets probably, but like you can get the shield ability, the self shield ability cooldown. But you got to go kill 5 goblin kobold kings. And you have to like hope that you RNG to the right duration cooldown that you get for it.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is going to be. I'm purely speculating. My fear is that they're going to go that route, and I'll be like, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go to my trainer and get this spell. So like I think that this class, like if they could preserve the Shadow Knight feel, and maybe they rename things, give it different VFX, I'm okay with that. And then it will live and die on the system and how that system interacts with my play style on it.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there's now a big gap or like a hole of like an undead scary knight guy. Like I mean looking at this art from Goblin, it's objectively cool. Like
it is awesome.
It's got a vibe, it's got a mood. You sort of know what you're buying into a little bit. But it's a risk, man. It's
the way that it plays doesn't feel like that. It's just called that.
I mean, so I mean, we can sort of talk about. I don't want to.
I think that like the kit itself makes more sense on something like a Beastmaster, where you've spent enough time fighting these beasts that you can gain some of the beast abilities, right? Like that checks out. What the hell does this have to do with a Shadow Knight?
I think like. To play devil's advocate, they're pulling the shadows of the things that they are fighting, and they're like pulling abilities. So like, whereas before, I know it's a stretch, like, but that's sort of
yeah. Or they like it's the Batman. There's the Batman thematic, not obviously play style, but like they are the thing that goes bump in the night to the thing that go bump in the night, right? Like I think that's the whole thing.
I don't hate it. I mean, on its face, I don't hate it.
I think it's cool. I genuinely think it's cool. If you put this on Spellblade, I'm in. I'm like stonks are high. But I thought the kit was so already fleshed out and felt good, even though they were necro light, it still felt good.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. Yeah, that's one of the things where I'm like, oh, I kind of
wish they turned a clear W into like a possible L.
yeah, exactly. They're what is it? Ripping defeat from the jaws of victory here potentially. I trust they have an identity, and I trust they will understand and listen to the community and keep the things that are working and just reskin it. But yeah, it's just there's risk here where there didn't need to be.
So there was a pretty edgy stream from Sean, sort of in the immediate aftermath of these changes, where he was saying things like, "This game is not just about getting your old EverQuest classes anymore." Like that's sort of, don't come here to play your old EverQuest classes. Like there's a game for that. And going back to like the Nick controversy of him just sort of disappearing one day, and he was the main class guy, I think it was pretty clear that he was just sort of making slightly tweaked EverQuest classes. And the team was probably like, there's 2 things that we don't like about this, and this is pure speculation. The first thing was like he was like vibe coding them, meaning he had no documentation, no like established thought in terms of what direction you wanted to take those classes. The best way someone put it on Discord was that like if a commenter caught his eye, he might make a change to a class during a stream. And like, I think that's cool for your first 2 years of development for this indie MMO, but it's not a good way to design and develop a game. Like you need documentation. You need clear like thought processes. You need like, what is the underlying theme of this thing? You don't just like tweak stuff like 6 months before the game comes out.
Yeah.
And the second thing was like, he was just making like upgraded versions of the EverQuest classes. And it seems like they moved away from that. They put 2 other folks in charge of the classes and they're like, go boys. Like now, if you want to make some big changes, like now is the time. And it seemed like they took Shadow Knight and they said, we're making a big change. And they're like,
how true were you about Go Boys?
And they're like, fuck the haters. We're doing it. So you got to admire it. I mean, we haven't paid any money for this game yet.
No,
so like, it's their game.
Haven't paid anything but attention here. So
Yeah.
It's not, it's too early for me to be able to call if this is a good idea or a bad one, obviously. But I just like fundamentally having an MMO that like requires you to like figure out what enemies you need to fight in order to use your toolkit, and then you have to figure out if those abilities are good and bad, and then you already have such a limited resource on buttons as it is, to then go through and like an experiment and find out which ones were even worth having in the first place. Like this to me, at least on paper, sounds cool. I think in practice is going to be miserable.
I'll end by saying that 6 months ago, some excellent players were saying we would be handicapping ourselves if our main tank roster was nothing but SKs. And we were like, that's weird. But right now it's like, it is a risk to run a Shadow Knight because you just don't know what it's going to be. Like,
yeah. You don't know what kind of Shadow Knight you're getting. Yeah. Like it could be like, well, do you have like, I don't know, for the sake of like ability, like Deathfire. Like, did you get Deathfire yet? Like, no. Okay, well, we don't want you.
Well, that's a 35.
No, I got Moose Chomp.
If you didn't get Deathfire, we're not taking.
I got antlers up, but not hooves down.
Yeah, we're only taking fucking SKs that have Deathfire. So sorry, bro. Good luck next time.
Yeah, and it was like a 24-hour cooldown where you need to get it or something like that.
Which is fair. Yeah. Like that is a fair concern. Again, I think the biggest question is obviously around introducing a new system just based on timeliness and the march towards launch, and B, how it's actually going to impact playstyle, because that is the big FUD for me, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The moose is stinky on this is how that system is going to play out, because it is very late in the game and the class was already pretty well established and felt pretty good. So we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic though. Like I'm maintaining optimism until they prove me wrong.
I don't think any producer would be like hearing the pitch from the devs to be like, yeah, do that. We've only got a few months to release. Yeah, change something that everyone likes. All right, let's move to Shaman.
I just want to close by saying I understand and I totally respect wanting to move away from EverQuest type classes and using them as your inspiration, but like this game has 18 fucking classes. So if you're gonna borrow some ideas from a game that already exists, and like it's not like this is like a novel concept and EverQuest was the only one to do it and you're stealing it from them. Like these are like long established fucking things that like Shadow Knights have and can do. So like to completely pivot like that, especially this close to launch, seems fucking batshit, man.
Yeah.
In before the next expansion, the Fallen Knight releases with the Shadow Knights toolkit.
That would be incredible.
It's already cooked, baby. It's already baked. Roll it out.
That's worth the box price. That would be so fucking funny. I would subscribe forever. All right, the Shaman, and this is, I'm not going to do the entire identity, but this is important. The Shaman draws power from the spirit realm, ancestors, ancient forces, and the wisdom of those who've passed on. So, in the group, Shaman's most defining contribution is enhancement. Powerful physical buffs make companions stronger, faster, and more durable. and their heals offer sustained recovery rather than short-lived bursts. This is nothing is surprising there. It just sounds like they're sort of turning that all up to 11. But the ancestral forces and the spirits are where they're drawing their sort of flavor. So, defining traits, they specialize in spiritual magic built around physical buffs. So if we're going to run a melee focused team, kind of got to have a shaman. They have the strongest physical buff suite in the roster: speed, strength, and endurance. Signature melee slow. Like I was saying, guys, a shaman is known for its slow ability. Healing built around sustained recovery. So this doesn't sound like there's going to be any oh shit buttons when it comes to a shaman. So little margin for error if that's your main healer. What's changing? They remain a strong healer, buffer, and debuffer with genuine damage potential. And Moose, that doesn't sound like that aligns with your experience of it, meaning that specifically the genuine damage potential.
Yeah, I mean, they have dots. But yeah, I mean, your mana pool's in such steep competition for the spells that you do have currently, and we'll see how the mana regen plays out in later game, and the new changes. So hopefully that'll help mitigate things. But for me, and I think Pat experienced this even more in minutia. You have very limited options to cast with your mana bar, and usually healing and then debuffing is you're going to be primary, and then way down the list is going to be damage.
Yeah, especially if you're the only healer in the group. I'm hoping that the mana regen changes are more noticeable. Is like I found myself like not even really debuffing because I could only get like one or two kind of crappy heals off, and then I'd be again. So like it was almost not worth trying to waste mana trying to get a debuff to stick.
Yeah.
So it was. I'm hoping that the regen changes change that up a bit.
So the update is about thematic focus and separation from classes they've drifted too close to, which to me reads Druid. Nature and cold magic going away, replaced with expressions of the spirit realm.
Great.
Expressions of the spirit realm. The damage lineup is focused more heavily on dots and new spiritual utility. So combine this with the stated intention to increase time to kill. Dots are going to be more valuable. Healing is also getting a pass to sharpen the distinction between Shaman, Cleric, and Druid. This to me reads, guys, like you can have a great group if it has a Shaman and a Cleric in it, because you can just give all the healing to the Cleric, let the Shaman debuff, let the Shaman buff your buds, and it can, with that extra mana, it's doing pretty good damage in a way that it couldn't do before. So I think it still can main heal, but I think it'll be optimized to have a healing buddy with it.
Dude, they're so scared to make a caster class be able to melee well. Like, you have haste, just let us use it.
Yeah.
Let us whack things with a stick, and then
I can't relate with this. I can't relate with that. That's stupid.
I have a giant hammer and I have haste in my kit and I wear chain. Like, get me in there, coach.
To have all the physical damage.
Those are WoW pilled.
Well, you have like all these physical damage buffs, and then you don't even get to use them.
You do on other people.
On other people. Why not? Why it's like a crazy buff that you can't use on yourself, and that's very weird.
Yeah.
Wearing martial style armor puts in my brain, incepts me with a martial style of play. And I'm sorry that I don't want to be a plate wearer in the back line casting spells as if I'm a clothy, but that's who I am as a person. If you put me in chain, I feel like I can be able to take a hit, so I should be up there. And like, I think it's very cool synergy to maybe have one dot that you can put out there, and you're a hot-based class. You have a lot of downtime to be slapping stuff if you want, and you don't have to use your mana to do so, which I think I don't know, that'd be fun. That was always my thing.
Slapping you.
You're gonna be slapping you. But I'm fine with the dot. I'm fine with the dot focused damage. I think that's cool too, and it allows you to kind of sit tick a little bit while you're doing damage. So this, dots I think are the most efficient way to go for a contested mana pool. But yeah, I think overall, a Shaman was already a W. I think it continues to be a W. I like the flavor they're getting to be more spirity and more ancestral and the spirit realm side of nature versus just nature 2.0. The one thing that has me worried about this as a potential Shaman main is distinction as a healer from the Cleric and Druid. I have no idea what that means. It's incredibly vague, and they're already very distinct as a healer from Cleric and Druid in that they are primarily hot based. So I don't know what that means or where it's going, but I hope it doesn't blow up anything that is currently working.
I was gonna try to say like, and for the shaman, that means leaning into their self-sustaining character. Maybe like cannibalize gives health to other players. Like that's the only kind of thing I can think of.
Here, eat my arm.
Yeah. I mean, objectively, you guys are right. Like, yes, you guys have big hammers. You wear chainmail. You guys are right. You guys should be up there to be able to hit and feel as if you gain some benefit from the buffs that you can cast on others. I'm just so EverQuest pilled. I've been EverQuest maxing for so long that, I mean, you guys are gesturing, I guess. You guys are jester mat. Like, you gotta, I'm just going to stop. That like, it doesn't, like, it makes sense. Like, shaman sits down and they look like they wear chain, but they never actually use it. So would it help if they wore leather for you guys? Like, would that help you with your mind cannon on this? And they like had like a totem as opposed to a hammer.
So for me, like when I think shaman in like my head goes to Witch Doctor from Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Like that vibe, that
Yes.
aesthetic is like very much what a shaman is to me. And that's fine. Like they want to use sacrificial daggers and have a shrunken head in another hand and they're throwing spiders at people. I think that's a fun little shaman take, you know. I think that the shaman in Monster Memories EverQuest style also works, but again, like when they're in chainmail, I just want to slap.
It sounds like you're losing bear form too, which should make you happy.
Good, get rid of it. As a person who was I love shaman. I thought having a pet and having a transformation, I'm WoW pilled there. I'm like, give that to Druid or give it to Beastmaster. Beastmaster should get all the animal stuff. If it has an animal thing in the touch, just give it to Beastmaster. Give them shapeshift. I think that's great. Shaman, get it out of here. Less is more.
Let's move on, boys. Spellblade. The class they
Hi
forgot.
guys, it's me. Remember me?
Class they forgot. The Ron Weasley of the of the monsters memory classes. So Spellblade is a melee fighter who channels arcane force. This is the group of people who magically enhance their weapons and use those weapons to hit people with them. Telekinetic, they can teleport, they can do cool stuff like that. They have barriers. They gain the ability to like build up instacast nukes that they can cast pretty frequently, blinking behind targets, freezing them in place. I think there's a ton of possibility here. We just haven't seen that borne out in game. What's changing? So defining traits very briefly: lightly armored melee DPS. Think of them as a rogue wizard hybrid. I know there's no more hybrids in the game, but just do that. Managing infusions, cooldowns. Infusions are just the procs that they put on their weapons. Conduit this is all kinds of like proper nouns here, guys. Shifts between different weapon infusions, each with its own damage type and proc effect. So I guess you put ice on your sword, you'll slow the bad guy down if it procs. That's how I read that. They can teleport behind a target and strike, or blink away from melee range when pressed. That's cool.
Sick.
They have telekinetic things, like knockbacks, roots, and enemy repositioning. Cool. I like that. I can see a knockback occurring where they push it into another group of mobs, and that mob, they then get aggro on you, but whatever.
Yeah.
Updates to the Spellblade are about focus and depth, because they have no focus right now, and they have no depth. So anything is better than nothing. Fewer schools of magic, more expression with the ones that remain. Elemental magic is going away in favor of arcane, telekinetic, and electricity, which matches the wizard, by the way. They're losing the elemental stuff, and they're getting the arcane, telekinesis, and electricity schools. And the one-off pet is being removed. I'm going to read this in detail as well, because this just requires detail. So the infusion and conduit system is the heart of the combat experience, and the ability suite around it is being built out to give the Spellblade a more interesting and varied damage rotation. Spell lines are getting better progression and scaling, okay, and teleportation is being treated as a genuine combat mechanic rather than a utility footnote. P.S. Give them gate. More. What they're getting more focus on infusion and conduit system as the core combat cycle. Someone define for me what the conduit system is. Teleportation as a central combat mechanic. I think in theory that's really cool. In practice, you're not playing Nightcrawler. Like, you don't need.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Okay. More arcane field and damage zone tools. That sounds like a consecration to me.
Yep. Yeah,
And
or
depth.
like potentially a ring of peace or a ring of war.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Less elemental magic, off-tank focus, and generic caster utility. So
Sounds like traps almost.
yes, I would agree with that. I think they use the
So-
maximum amount of words, and they still don't know what to do with this class.
I was that's exactly my thought. I read that and I was like, I have no idea
what does
you
this
said
mean
at
guys?
all. Slow down.
PK, you've always been the hottest on Spellblade. Where are you at?
Yeah, no, I have a massive boner for this.
Wow.
This sounds so fucking awesome.
Okay.
It does, huh?
Tell me, say more.
I mean, it sounds like you're storing procs for discharges, right? So it's bursty, and it sounds like you're storing them, and then the burst is at the cost of a cooldown. So like you can store them in time when you want to nuke shit, which is the opposite of how the class was playing, where you were just kind of hoping for procs. Now you get them, and then once you have them, you store them, and then burn them down to burst. And being able to teleport all over the battlefield, fucking to if shit goes wrong, you can like pop behind somebody, freeze, and then blink. Like, dude, that's fucking badass. Like you're just gonna be flying. It's like you're a better rogue. Like you're just teleporting all over the place, nuking shit, and just dipping. Like that sounds awesome.
Dipping dots.
It sounds awesome.
Sounds awesome.
Sounds so cool. You won't main it.
I never said I wouldn't main it.
I would love
We'll
it.
see.
I would love that for us.
Would you though? Would you actually love a Spellblade?
1,000% I would. 1,000% I would.
Wow.
I would
This
because
guy wants to blink, man.
Dude, my 1 and 2
This guy.
classes, my
This
1
guy's a
and 2 classes
blinker.
were Inquisitor and Spellblade, and they have been since day one.
Wow.
I don't think there's any question on whether or not they'll pump. They're gonna pump. Pump is
I
what
feel like
they
they
do.
don't right now.
They pump.
Yeah, they
They're
pump.
okay, but they're very proc based. Like it's very
Yeah, and this
random.
is now taking that and putting it into an ability where you can store those procs to use when you want.
It's like a magic backstab.
Okay. So give to me in one sentence what this class is supposed to be. 'Cause I have no clue what it is.
A better rogue.
Shadow step.
Better rogue.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like shadow step the class.
It's like you have rogue poisons that you would be putting on before combat are going to be very similar to the enchantments that you're going to be putting on your weapons. They're going to have probably similar effects, where like one's going to be dealing extra damage, where one's going to maybe slow somebody or root somebody. And it's like you're getting those same kind of things, but also being able to teleport behind somebody and being able to blink away as well. And you're also getting like traps and shit to throw on the ground, like damage
Rogue
zones
has that.
and fields and shit. Like that's what I'm saying. But you're a
Yeah, but you
better,
need
more
plants.
mobile rogue.
I don't think you're more well. Rogue has
How can you
Valor.
say you don't think that they're
sorry,
more
yeah.
mobile?
Well,
they're
they have,
so
I
much
meant,
more
I meant
mobile.
as
Rogue
far
has
as, like,
sprint and stuff,
survivability
too.
goes. Like they have sprint and they have vanish, but I'm thinking vanish is not mobile, obviously, but it is like an instant get out of jail free card for
Sure.
pull.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like functionally they're very similar, and I don't think you'd ever want to. So like, okay, is this? Can someone help me? Can someone help me figure out what this class is? Is this playing like a red mage in Final Fantasy 14?
No,
or like
no,
Final
no,
Fantasy
no.
games. Like, are you going in? You're using your swashbuckling skills, and then you're backflipping away and casting and nuking on them.
I think what you're doing is
No.
you're seeing the pull going wrong. You teleport to where it is. You hit your freeze mob button. You then teleport back to it because it's probably like a go back to where you were button, sort of a thing.
Okay.
Like, I'm just obviously I'm just pulling this out of my
Yeah.
ass.
It's like
But
no,
I'm
I know
s-
what you're saying.
but I'm
it's
seeing
like a
that-
monk ability.
I'm
and-
seeing that
wow.
occurring, and then I'm seeing like in the meantime he is tactically blowing his arcane conduits all over the mob's faces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pop, pop.
And
I
what
like
are arcane conduits like?
I don't know.
Are those the procs right now?
I don't know. No, I don't think
Oh,
so.
okay.
I think that's a zone of. It's like a zone of higher efficacy.
Okay, so they had basically create an arena for themselves, and in that arena, they're gonna be big man on campus.
Yes.
In their arena.
They also shape the battlefield around them, creating zones to punish enemies who crowd too close and give them control over the space they occupy, even in the middle of a melee.
Okay.
The
Okay.
fight rewards attention and timing rather than fixed rotation. I see skill expression all over the place with this. This is a pack,
I
this is a
see-
pack class.
That feels
this
pretty
Sounds
cool.
amazing.
I think the thing like that. So that's the thing that was breaking my brain a little bit is like you're a melee class. Why the hell would I ever want to be able to blink away or push a target away? That makes no sense to me thematically. Like that is anti-synergy. But if you're saying like if you're like, cool, I'm kiting something and I'm trying to, or like something's out of my arena, I need to get it in the arena. I just think like in groups, this is going to be a nightmare to manage. Like if you're a tank, this is going to be, it's going to be like, you know, like Alex Straza healing in,
It's like, can you
in
please
Heroes of
stop?
the Storm. You're like, can you stand in the green circle, please, when you're tanking? And I'm like, sure.
But
I
when you
guess.
have a tank who's used to it and they play to it, you'll probably see benefits.
Oh, this is
That's fair.
more like you can blink behind somebody, drop like a stationary arcane field, and then blink out, and then keep
Stationary,
them
so, like, it roots
permanently.
them?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
so you could just leave them there, and now they're stuck in that route. And if it's a
Okay.
field, that to me reads multiple enemies.
AoE, yeah, AoE.
So
you could
you
be
can
like
have
Enchanter.
you can have somebody like pull one. I can put a field down to
Okay.
root the rest, and then we can nuke that one down and
Oh.
start picking
So
them off.
someone put AoE rogue. I think that is
Pretty good.
that's going down a path that is well, AoE implies damage. I don't think there's going to be AoE damage here, but it sounds
There
like
is.
there's AoE impact on the battlefield for sure.
Well, yeah, there's
Creating a
there's
zone
one
to
is
punish enemies who crowd too close.
one of them is
Oh.
a stationary field. One of them is an explosive zone. So like there will be AoE for sure.
Oh, Okay.
This sounds
Okay.
like Illidan with a little bit of
Okay.
Zarya.
Okay.
I mean,
All right, I'm-
this to me sounds so fucking
If
cool.
you
remaining
play
optimistic.
this
it just does.
and Chris plays Necromancer,
It's over. It's over. You're on Cleric, dude. Enjoy.
we need everything. But we'd have max fun. I think we'd have max fun.
It would be a good time.
Be a
It
lot
would
of fun.
definitely be a good time.
So I will say, my duo partner Andrew is a Spellblade currently in his current state, and Spellblade's great. It like it doesn't sound. This sounds like a very flashy class,
Arcane
Mhm.
field and damage zone
Which
tools.
is nice.
Yep.
I think that's cool. Arcane field and damage zone tools. That is a very like placement. How placement's going to work, like all that. I don't think that exists currently in the game quite in the way. And maybe it's it'll be akin to traps and how traps work for archers. But yeah, all of that is very. It still feels very black box to me on what their like play style is going to be. But we'll see. It sounds like if what Pat is selling here as like the fantasy of like I create prisons and I like lock people in there and I can do all sorts of cool stuff to them. That sounds really
So I'm just imagining like Pat thinks he's playing
Pat's
like this
basement.
like 150% brain power, and like we
Yeah.
see him, he's just like like it's just like
he's
he's
hitting
just,
backstab Q. But no, it sounds like with the way you're presenting it, that sounds way cooler than what because I could not understand like how it would play based on this description.
yeah, I'm sold by Pat's enthusiasm for it.
I mean, it says that there's arcane, telekinetic, and electric, which to me sounds like a fucking chain lightning.
Chain
That
lightning or chain stun.
Sounds pretty fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
That's in my top 18 for sure.
That's my top idea. I
Yeah.
hope Pat plays it. Like I'm dark horsing that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll play.
We'll see.
I'll play Paladin. Wizard, ultimate master of magic, deep arcane knowledge, devastating assaults on their foes. Where the Spellblade uses the schools physically, the wizard handles them directly in their spells. So this is wild. They have totally abandoned all the elementals, so no longer ice, fire, earth, and wind. They have been moved toward arcane, telekinetic, and electric, just like the Spellblade. Though they'll keep some signature elemental spells. I imagine that being like fireball. Glass cannons, fragile and mana hungry, but if handled skillfully, none can compare to their sheer destructive power. I'm seeing huge burst potential, low sustain. They're not going to be the top DPS over the course of a fight, but they will be able to bring like
I don't know because it says for their more, the first thing it says is DPS cycle variety, which I guess, is not spamming the same spell over and over and over again. So like it sounds like you'll probably have like one fat AoE nuke, and then you're going to start doing normalized DPS, maybe more single target stuff.
yeah, like a filler spell sort of a thing.
I think most of it'll probably be filler spell. My guess would be the nukes are going to be very mana intensive, and then you'll spend, you'll probably get maybe one or two fat nukes off during a fight, but for the most part, you'll be casting, more.
I'm deeply concerned about that.
Quicker, and less mana heavy spells.
I don't want to be spamming like Firebolt, waiting for like the big nuke to occur. The only way I see the current damage profile of the wizard making sense, because right now they cannot compete with just the auto attack damage of the melee DPSers, just in sustained damage, like bringing a mob from 100 to 0. It'll be faster and less resource intensive with a person who presses Q versus a person who uses all their mana to bring the thing down. But the only way I see this making sense is that if mobs have specific like phases, meaning that like between 70 and 40%, the mob is casting these highly lethal things.
So you need to get them out of it.
So you need to burst them as quickly as possible. That's the only like hyper value I see for a wizard. I like, and maybe they intend for them because they have this magic missiles thing where you're constantly sort of hitting it. And like, I don't want to do that. That sounds don't sound good.
It says that they're leaning more into a cycle variety, so I wouldn't expect this to be a class that you push one button over and over and over again.
I hope you're right.
The thing that turns me off, the thing that turns me off the most about this is spell crafting.
Well, let's talk about that. Let me read that. Utilizes spell crafting, which offers out of combat spell research and customization, and in combat spell mixing for unique casts. What the fuck does that like? Does that mean like, is this like a Magicka system?
I think that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. It sounds amazing.
It sounds really cool.
How in the world are they going to do that? Like,
they already have that in place with Elementalists.
I think on paper that sounds awesome. I think in practice that sounds like a nightmare. It's going to be the same kind of thing you're going to fall into. It's like, well, do you have XYZ spell yet? No? Okay, well, we're not taking you.
Well, I don't see that. So Magicka, for a reminder, is like you had 4 buttons for the 4 types of magic, and depending on the combinations and the amounts, you could change your spells. So if I hit 3 earths and 1 fire, I would shoot a flaming mud ball at somebody, if you remember this, Chris. But if I hit fire 3 times and earth 1 time, it would be like a fiery spray of dirt, And
friendly fire was on in that game too.
Yeah, friendly fire. So are they thinking of like a version of that where you can change, like, I guess the resists of the types of spells you're casting or the type of spell you're casting? Because it's telekinetic electricity and the other one, which I'm forgetting. Arcane. It's just hard to know what this is going to look like. This is very in flux. This and Spellblade, like they're just totally like totally blue skying this shit.
I can mentally picture what Spellblade gameplay looks like. I can't mentally picture what Wizards gameplay is going to look like.
To someone's point, it sounds like Dark Age of Camelot Warlock, which was, I think, it is a lesser Magicka system where like you have a chamber of multiple spells you can queue up, and that will like eject the spell once you do that. So like you're essentially putting like a primary, secondary. Now this is speculation. I'm just speculating on what like the Dark Age of Camelot type stuff is, but it sounds like this could be something like that, where if you like combo 2 buttons together, it will create a different thing together, and maybe you prime that in some way. I don't know what that means, but
that would be cool.
But like I think that it could be cool. It could also be complexity where you don't need it
Yeah.
to achieve
Is
a
there a
similar
benefit to that?
outcome. Yeah, exactly.
Well, let me read this. What's changing here because it sort of addresses that. So, elemental magic is being reduced in their arsenal to sharpen the distinction between the two classes. Makes sense. It was my view that they should have just combined those classes before these
Yeah.
changes came in. So, their damage cycle is getting more variety, like Pat's saying, with better spell scaling and upgrades. They needed that. Spellcrafting is the main addition. Research and in-combat customization give the wizard a creative dimension that no other damage class has. Okay. The core identity stays intact. They've still got the biggest nukes, the most raw magical damage, and the high ceiling that rewards players who put in the work. So,
Yeah, I don't want to.
more DPS cycle variety, more upgrades and spell scaling, more spell crafting as a research and customization system, less elemental magic, and an abandonment of the sword and staff mechanics that they wasted a year's of development time
Yeah.
on.
That was never going to be a good thing, so I'm very glad they got rid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't even say if you want to play this class because you don't know what you're getting.
I
Yeah.
think because spellcrafting existed in the spellcrafting, the research side of things already existed in EverQuest, right, Jesse? Like
but you would gain,
research.
but you just create spells that were like
Right.
that existed. So you're combining two or three things, and you'd create a spell that was sort of known.
So it sounds like that's what that is one facet of what they're implementing. So that sounds like it's already a known product or entity from EverQuest, right? Like you could research spells, and certain spells could only be achievable through a wizard researching them. If that's correct, right?
Sure.
That's basically it. Which I think is pretty cool, and like I think that's cool. Like I like having chase spells or carrots that you can get from players, or that they can help you kind of create that. I think that's pretty
instead
cool.
of chasing the fiery sort of Tyrael, you'd be chasing this spell that you want to create.
But you probably
essentially.
need components for it, I imagine, right?
Yeah,
Like it's just like any crafting thing. So I think that's pretty cool, because like your epic quest for a caster becomes
It could be a sick spell.
like
Yeah.
Torpor for Shaman, right? Was one of those.
Yeah,
crazy
like
ones.
Annihilation or like Ice Comet or something like that.
Yeah. That's cool. I think that's a cool system to have in a game like this. I think that's a very fun thing for wizards to be able to impact the game outside of combat. But yeah, the in combat stuff, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea how that plays out, but that's tough to
So
know.
just
But
change your guys' thoughts on what you guys gonna play a wizard now.
Oh, I'm way less likely to play it.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. This was a class that I was boned up for, and now
Boned down?
I've got a bit of a moose is stinky for it.
You got a moose of stinky on this? Oh, I'm curious.
Yeah.
What changed that?
I mean, it sounds like you're going to need to put in more time and effort to like reach your class's potential than any other class, and that's just not something I'm really interested in doing.
I feel like you're targeting Spellblade, which sounds exactly like that.
No.
It's six
that's
buttons
more,
to do what Rogue does in one.
Yeah, but I have no problem doing that. What I have a problem with is like having to go through and do some other like out of combat system in order to prepare and make sure that I have a spell so that I can actively use my toolkit.
Okay.
Whereas Spellblade has all the tools, I just need to push the buttons. Wizard, I have to go play some other secondary game in order to play the game I want to play.
Got it. So you don't want the whole.
A common theme across
Extra
all
game.
like the hyper damage focused classes is it requires pre-work to get it done. Rogue with their poisons, Rogue with their poisons, Archer with their stuff,
Yeah.
and Wizard with their spells. These were the
Yeah, there's a
three
prep
S tier
to that.
classes in terms of damage. Now, who knows if they're sticking with that as like a denomination? But of the three S tier damage classes, they all have prep work to go into them to reach their potential.
That's interesting. That is an interesting call out.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Guys.
You playing Wizard now, buddy? What about you? This was your class.
Yeah, I'm a little bone low on this.
Whoa.
Bone thugs and low on me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta see it. I gotta see it in action. But I will say the other classes going so much higher just really sort of increase the competition. Like the fact that Paladin is like a hyper viable play now. Oh my goodness. Like Jeppy could choose a monk, I could choose a paladin, or vice versa, and I think we'd both be happy. Sort of a thing. Or I heck, like even cleric and even druid. I would never play a shaman, but cleric and druid are hyper viable to me, especially if you guys are like leaning the way you're leaning. Like I kind of like cleric is looking good. Like
It does.
it's
I
not
agree.
bad.
All the healers are in a really good spot, in my opinion.
Yeah. So
Easily of the archetypes, they're the ones with the least amount of weaknesses. Let's put it that way.
yeah. So guys, longest show ever, weeknight.
Yeah.
I got to work soon.
I got about 5 hours.
Same,
Yeah.
bud. We'll be getting up at the same time. You want to sext me at 4:30?
Yeah, give me a good one.
But
Closing thoughts.
Yeah, closing thoughts, guys. I'll give you guys the floor. PK.
It's a lot of changes and a lot to be excited about. I think for the most part they're good. A lot of them are big question marks, and I think to do this drastic of changes to a lot of classes this close to a launch date is a very bold stance to take. And I mean we'll have to see how it plays out. You know, I'm new things are always exciting. You don't know if they're going to be good or bad. I have my opinions, but it's all speculation. We'll have to see.
Yeah. I think we are probably going. I find it hard to believe they will all be W's that they're printing here.
I was filling the gaps in. I'm sorry. I was thinking you were going to say, I think we're seeing the downfall of this game. And it's hard to believe they'll be able to pull out of this tailspin.
No, I'm ever the optimist, and I'm team dev when it comes to games like this. You got to be until they prove you wrong. I think the key is this is it is hard for me to fathom there are going to be a lot of W's, but I think we are going to be net positive on the W's we do get versus the L's we'll probably take along the way. And it's very easy for me to say when I'm like, looking at Bard and I'm like, I don't play that class. I will happily sacrifice. Sacrificing Bard is a thing I'm willing to do for a class I won't play to get Necromancer in the way that I want it. No, I think in general, there's going to be a lot. This is going to be a different game for a lot of people than the game that they played for a long time. And yeah, I think I'm team wait and see on. I'm optimistic. I think I like the changes for the classes I am playing. I understand the people who are like, what the hell? Why? For classes that they liked playing. But overall, I think that it's hard for me to say that this game doesn't feel like it has far more concrete direction overall with the direction they want to take with things than it did a month ago or a week ago. So we'll see. I'm optimistic for where it goes. I think there's going to be some L's along the way. I trust the devs to move, to break things and move fast. And we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Well said, both of you. Thanks for joining me. See y'all next week for another video. Who knows what it'll be about? I'll post the VOD of this probably Saturday. Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye. I love you.
Get ready. It's time for monsters and
I think he thinks he's playing the other.
I'm not playing it.